Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are back. You didn't know it was a Remington marathon this week, but hey, the Final Four. We had to stay tuned. It was totally worth it, chat. One of the most iconic Final Four weekends we've had in recent memory. And just because we were watching a couple Final Four games doesn't mean we can't jump on for our normal Tuesday live stream. And plus, again, we were focused on college, focused on Final Four. Now we get to sit back and watch NBA hoops. The NBA is in full effect tonight. The NBA is in full effect, make no mistake, on the court, but the NBA is also in full effect off the court as well, too, chat. There's news. There is all kinds of stuff happening right now. I don't even know where to begin, chat. I feel like it's almost too much work to start to dig into what the Nuggets were trying to figure out today, but we do have an interesting matchup in the background as well, too. Knicks versus Celtics. Brunson is back from injury. Did he get hurt in the last game versus Boston? I forget exactly. Been a couple weeks, chat. Been a little over a month if I remember correctly. But he has been back the last couple of games, and had a game against Phoenix the other night. It's not like 3 for 9, whatever. It is what it is. Again, he's working his way back, but just in time to get some minutes under his belt right before this Boston matchup, and both teams healthy, both teams ready to go right before the playoffs. And I think, off of that Lakers Thunder matchup, which the Lakers and the Thunder do. We were wondering Sunday about matchups, chat, but we'll see tonight, especially after the fact that we did get the matchups on Sunday. There is a chance for that one. I was seeing stuff that their guys might not play. So who knows? Maybe they just JJ Redick, LeBron, they're locked in, Chad, and they just mind the game. They're like they can't go on the pod after load managing against the Thunder on a Tuesday night. So maybe we do get the guys playing, but we do get a Knicks versus Celtics fully healthy, high level matchup playoff preview. And that one again, that Lakers Thunder matchup is going to be interesting to think back on with how dominant the Lakers were in that game. And the Knicks are out to a pretty good start here. And again, they get Brunson back, so there's always going to be the potential of, well, he was, if we're Knicks fans projecting if something happens in this game, it's like, oh, well, he was working his way back from injury, blah, blah, blah. He's still not fully healthy yet. Give him time in the playoffs, and then we'll be ready to, play his peak level basketball against the Celtics. But he started out hot. Chet hit the first couple of baskets. And more importantly than Brunson, I think, well, I never know more importantly, but what is going to happen with the Towns Porzingis thing, chat? Because of course, with Tatum and Brown, that's the combo, of course, but Porzingis is the matchup nightmare in a way, not more so than Tatum and Brown, but you get it, Chad. There's just his ability to stretch the court and how he is able to switch up what the other bigs have to do defensively, and then who you have to potentially have on the court as well too to match Porzingis. He changes the game in a different way. Like Tatum and Brown, again, everybody wants to necessarily have a Tatum and Brown out on the court. So the wings and stuff you're trying to, ideally you have wings to have out there. Again, not every team is obviously set with the rosters to compete at these levels, but ideally that's the type of guys that you're putting out on the court. And I guess not to say that Porzingis isn't ideal, chat, obviously, but how many guys, of course, have that type of player? And then maybe the league, as we just say, the league continues to get bigger. Pause. Like maybe that's where the league is going. Just everybody's gonna be 7-footers one day, chat. But as of right now, it's still that little bit of a mismatch, and with the way Towns is defensively as well too. Not to say that Towns can't match him offense for offense, but there's just something about the way Porzingis is able to, and just the Celtics team as a whole, and Towns having to maybe do a little bit more defensively as a whole for the Knicks than what Porzingis has to do for Boston. I mean, it's pretty close. I think Porzingis is, in certain lineups as well too, maybe a little bit more capable. But we've also got Hawks versus Magic on in the background. We will, of course, be checking in on that Lakers Thunder game, just in case there is something interesting. And the Thunder have enough guys. There's going to be some fun players out there anyways. But at least this one's close. And this is another playoff play-in. Yeah, 7 and 8 seed right now. So this could be a potential play-in game. This could be like a game 2 play-in scenario. Bulls are the 10 seed, and then who's the 9 seed in the Eastern Conference right now, chat? Just the forgotten Eastern Conference team? Oh, well. But are the Bulls the 9 seed? Is it's got to be Miami in there, right, chat? Hey yo. But Miami could sneaky get the 7 or 8 seed as well. But if the favorites went out in the play-in, then we would be seeing an Orlando versus Atlanta matchup. In that case, Niang on the Hawks, chat, trying to bring that. Can you bring championship pedigree to a championship team if the team was a championship level team but hadn't actually won a championship yet? But then again, does Trae Young count in that stat as well too? Because he was in a conference championship, so you could even say he has more championship pedigree at this point than some of the Cavs teams do. I mean, has he made not necessarily more playoff runs than Donovan Mitchell, but he's definitely had a more successful playoff run than Donovan Mitchell. But has Donovan Mitchell had better series as well too, Chad? So, it all bounces out. But Niang, anyways, he's playing well tonight. Shout out. He'll give you a game every now and then. But the Porzingis to Towns combination, chat, is the one that I think for playoff-wise, if these teams match up, and that's what's so interesting about the Knicks and the Cavs as well, too, is they do have those potential Porzingis guys. They have Mobley and, of course, Allen as well, too. We got Mobley for the Cavs. You got, ideally, again, Towns for the Knicks. And they're running that Tatum on Towns lineup, chat. But I didn't see, so does that mean Porzingis is on Anunoby? We'll check back in on the full rotations here because Anunoby just hit the threes. So the idea of hiding Porzingis a little bit and Tatum can kind of take Towns, because it's kind of also disrespecting Towns' bully ball game a little bit and respecting Tatum's strength as well too. But knowing that you might be able to get Towns to play a bit of a perimeter game. But Anunoby's been playing a lot better, of course, than I don't remember the date of their last matchup. But as of late, prior to Brunson returning into the lineup, he was playing pretty well. So if he can keep that streak going, and now all of a sudden Porzingis is moving, I think Brown might be on Anunoby. Or they were both just kind of in the same spot. Melo under the basket, chat. Shout out. The legend, officially now the Hall of Famer, we can say it. They have gold jackets, right? Is that just a Hall of Fame standard? Is there just a greater Hall of Fame committee out there, chat, that we don't know about? Not necessarily that makes selections or something, but governs all of the Hall of Fames. Because I feel like they all kind of have similar font too on the logos, right, chat? Am I crazy? Is there big Hall of Pharma out there? I don't know what we call it, chat, but is there just a corporate, shady League of Owls situation going on that's gold jackets for everybody? The logo has got to be this I don't even know, chat, Space Jam-esque thingy almost. I feel like the font could sometimes be in that type of movie. But right now the Knicks are up 20-12 in the first quarter. So another sort of important matchup. We had the Cavs and Celtics, with the way they've been playing lately. And now that the Knicks actually have Brunson back, because again, the way Anunoby has been playing and the way Bridges have been playing, you just go, okay, those performances are definitely something to keep an eye on. If they're getting that in the playoffs, and then again, we just assume Brunson being back is going to be back to Brunson level. And he gets another 3, chat. Boston may be a little lackluster tonight. That's always a problem. In New York, chat, I don't know what the Monday deals are in New York, but I'm sure you can find something going on that's pretty fun. So, I mean, Pritchard ends up on Towns in transition right now. Towns is still going to somehow take a 3. He's got Hauser on him. They get it to a Brunson corner 3 on Holiday with Holiday right in his face, chat. I don't know how Towns had both Hauser and Pritchard on him, and Hauser on the other end hits a 3. 17-6. He literally tried to cut on Pritchard and couldn't get to the basket. And then had to pull back out for 3. Will we see Walter Clayton Jr. defending Karl Anthony Towns in the NBA? Who knows? McBride off the mark there, chat. It's tough. Is Hauser going to be the one that turns the game here? There's been a couple of shots, chat, that Paws have rimmed out pretty aggressively. Brunson had an earlier corner three, not the one that he just took, but an earlier corner three in the game that I think it might have been his second shot of the game was like, honestly, one of the most, again, pause, but one of the most farther down that I've seen that I was like, whoa. What is the science? Is Neil deGrasse going to have to do like a YouTube short on how the Jalen Brunson ball spun out of the rim? And then Hauser on the other end, chat. Same thing. Speaking of Space Jam, maybe something's happening in New York, chat. There's a vibration in the atmosphere. Did they call that Towns and one on the floor? I think they did, chat. So, I guess New York, Boston, of course. And with the way the New York fans are feeling as well, too, maybe with Brunson back, like, they're definitely going to be out for this one. Fully supporting the team, ready for the playoffs. The fans got to be ready for the playoffs, just like the players. Oh, not Brunson. Tatum. Oh, McBride. McBride, just let him score. Reggie Miller's going to say you got to mug him, chat. Oh, maybe. I feel like that's a classic announcer point. We had to listen for the Reggie Miller analysis there. That's like a classic announcer point. I love it when the guys on the fast break, they're like, if you're going to foul him, you got to foul him. You got to make sure he doesn't score. But the problem is, sometimes you think you're going to get the steal. So McBride's like, I got this. I'm not going to chase down block. He's like, Tatum's going to score on me. I got the hands. But then you're like, oh, wait a second. That's not right. But they're literally talking, speaking of this Hawks Magic game, chat, they're literally talking about the news of the day in this Hawks Magic game in the broadcast. I guess, is there Malone ties to the Magic? Do we have to go OG? Do we just have to go Michael Malone was born in 19 whatever, chat, to, I think Michael Malone. I think is he a junior? Michael Malone Jr.? No, his name's not. Or maybe he wasn't a head coach ever. No disrespect. Oh, Brendan. Is it Brendan Malone? Is that his dad? I don't want to get the Malone family right. I think it is, chat. Yes, son Michael Malone. Okay. R.I.P. the coaching legend, chat. One of the greats the game has ever seen. I guess I thought he was a sneaky like Michael. There's never, if you don't go by junior, then it's like sneaky. You're like Michael Malone the second, I guess. But no, Brendan Malone, the icon, chat, started coaching in 86, coached all the way till 2015-16. So he didn't even get till coaching to the NBA when he was 51, I guess, and somehow coached for 30 plus years. Coached till he was 80 years old. Detroit Pistons the last couple of years there, chat. He was on the Orlando's final teams with Dwight. Some of those early LeBron teams as well, too. I guess interim head coach for LeBron a couple of games there. 8-10, 40% winning percentage. Was that some of the highlights of the early LeBron Cavs runs? No, they did win 60 games in there in the next couple of years, so they had some good regular season runs. Obviously, speaking of the Magic, I guess was that one of the secrets, chat, of the fact that Orlando was able to take down LeBron in that series? Was Brendan Malone, like, he scouted LeBron for a couple of years. He actually coached on the team for him, and then went to Orlando, game planned up against him, got the right scheme, and then they got the upset. Obviously, some of the space and what Stan Van Gundy was operating. I guess I don't know what Brendan Malone's coaching philosophies were necessarily, but whatever they were, chat, as an assistant for Orlando, I guess he should have had a Lakers run in here. He didn't game plan. He didn't game plan against any of the Western Conference team, chats. Unfortunately for Brendan Malone, he only game planned to get to the finals. He should have bounced around a little bit in some of these Western Conference teams. Maybe a Lakers run, Shaq, Kobe, Lakers, figure out how to stop the Black Mamba. But maybe it's just impossible to do at that time, chat. It is what it is. But Indiana before that, so would he have been on Indiana when they made the finals as well? because they made the finals against the Lakers. Speaking of, so did he lose to Kobe multiple times in the finals? Brendan Malone? There's no shame, chat. There's no shame. It happens to the best of them. Okay, yeah, they weren't making the finals in 02-03. Was the 2000... Okay, so it was 99-2000. Wait, so was he on this team at that time? Rick Carlisle and Dick Harder, chat. Pause! Hey, yo! An all-time coaching staff from the 99-2000 Pacers. So almost a couple of finals runs, I guess, for our guy Brendan Malone. But of course, this Pacers team, Isaiah Thomas wasn't the coach of the team that made the finals, was it, chat? Yeah, I was about to say, there's no way. I don't remember that being in NBA history. I don't remember Isaiah Thomas ever making an NBA Finals as a coach. Shout out Isaiah Thomas, won the NBA Finals twice as a player, and is one of the greatest point guards the game has ever seen. But Larry Bird, of course, 56-26 the year before that. I mean, and Isaiah Thomas still 41-41, I guess. Shout out. 42-40. He's actually a winning head coach, chat. Maybe somebody needs to bring him back. Isaiah, or was there? I don't. You never know, chat. What the history of some of these guys? I don't know if there's. Let's start digging into the Wikipedia page for Isaiah Thomas. But 48-34. I guess unfortunately, yeah. Carlisle. I mean, as we know, Carlisle ultimately winning a finals with Dirk that one year is, maybe it's probably a superior coach, chat. I think if we crunch the numbers, the formula would say Rick Carlisle better coach than Isaiah Thomas. Again, Rick Carlisle also played in the 80s as well too, and did not make two finals and win the finals as the best player on the team. So it's just, some guys, it's what's your thing, chat. For Rick Carlisle, it's coaching, and for Isaiah Thomas, it was playing, and they both obviously dabbled in both, and we're, I guess, in the bigger picture, obviously successful. Like Carlisle was a good NBA. Carlisle, a big part of the 84 draft for making that, didn't necessarily make that draft notable, obviously, but Hakeem, I think between Hakeem, Jordan, Stockton, Barkley, I think their draft was pretty stacked. But it's a if you want to try to find the later round guys to add into the documentary, which I think they did in 30 for 30, they're like, yeah, and Rick Carlisle was in this draft. It's like, well, he also went on to coach as well too. I don't know if him being in the 84 draft is cool, but then it's like also, what are the odds, I guess, of the, a great coach like Rick Carlisle being in the 84 draft? But then again, wasn't it 18 rounds back then? So, man, there's probably going to be a couple of head coaches in that, 16 to 18 round range. Pick 195 to 280, maybe more like player staff type. Team manager roles, more so than actual star player development. But, again, cool storyline to definitely add in there. So, yeah, shout out to Brendan Malone, I guess, as well, too. We could go through the whole Brendan Malone history chat. But unfortunately for Michael Malone, he is the one in the news today because his tenure with the Denver Nuggets has, I guess, it is what it is, chat. The Nuggets said, bye-bye, see you later. They said, we're good to go. They said we don't need to finish the season. We don't need a playoff run to make a determination, which I think it's like, okay, what is surprising? The fact that they fired Mike Malone now or the fact that they fired Mike Malone? Because I think it's obviously the fact that they fired Mike Malone now. Because like we're saying, if you go into a playoff run and you fall short in the playoffs and you don't necessarily achieve the way you thought, then there is a good chance that there's going to be turnover in the front office, and there's a good chance that there's going to be changes that are going to have to be made. And make no mistake, chat, we know the star players are not going anywhere. At least, I guess we know Jokic is not going anywhere. I think Jokic is Jokic more safe than Kroenke at this point? Is it more likely that Kroenke would sell the team than maybe they would trade Jokic? It's tough to say, chat, because you just never know. I guess there's always the possibility that Jokic could request a trade, or there's always the possibility that they hired Nico Harrison and he's like, hey, LA, would you trade Luka for Nikola Jokic? That'd be crazy, chat. That'd be crazy. What if, chat, could that have been done at the trade deadline? If you were the Lakers, you're probably, obviously you're just in shock, and Pelinka's just stunned, just in the cloud nine, feels like he just took like I don't know how many DMTs do you take, Chad? How does that work? I just feel whatever the like peak euphoria Pelinka could feel. Feeling like Aaron Rodgers in a darkness retreat just after he gets Luka Doncic in this trade. Just absolutely on cloud nine. So he's not thinking about, how could we even make this better? But I don't know, Chad. If you had some diabolical team runners like the REMINGTOM pod, would we be immediately calling up Denver and being like, "Hey, Denver, we have a couple of hours to make," and I forget, did they trade him on the deadline, or I don't even think they did. They traded him a couple days out. Hey, Denver, at that time, hey, Michael Malone, hey, Calvin Booth, would you trade Luka for Jokic? And there's going to be the age debate as well thing too between Jokic and Luka. But I mean, you want to talk about winning the title right now, chat? That would be crazy. And you want to talk, I mean, just the idea of Jokic and I mean, obviously Luka in LA, I think the star power of that is, I guess I don't want to say it's clearly more there's clearly more like magnetic power. Is that the right way to phrase it, chat? On what he's doing in LA, because again, he's currently in LA, so it's what we're seeing, and there's really no way to undo what we're seeing. But if Jokic was in LA, there's no way to say that he wouldn't. Not to say that he wouldn't necessarily, start turning into a different player, but there's maybe the Jokic figure would necessarily increase in popularity and the aura and the mystery of it. Maybe again, it's Hollywood, it's LA. Those things can get leaned into. There's ways to play the storylines up. You still have LeBron and Reeves as well too in terms of marketing the team and stuff. But I guess if Michael Malone and Calvin Booth wanted to save their jobs, that'd be the only way to. I guess at this point. And is Booth actually gone, or is it just they won't extend him? Because Michael Malone is not there for any more games. His passcode to the building has been revoked. His key card no longer works at the facility. But I don't remember if I saw that Booth had the same fate, or if he's just, waiting his fate at the end of the season. So it's not like he has time necessarily to make the trade, but he can put the plan in place maybe. I don't know what kind of movie this is like, but he's like, okay, I know I can't be here to see the future, but here's what you have to do. You have to call LA, and you have to be like, will you take Jokic for Luka? And could you get Luka and Reeves? Could you get the three white guy trade going? The greatest three white guy trade in NBA history? Jokic for Luka and Reeves? Is Luka and Reeves too much for Jokic, Chad? Who knows? It's great conversations, but yeah, Malone is done for the playoffs. And the other reason I think you do it now as well too is, and I haven't had a chance to see what like Windhorst and stuff has said about this. So, there could be relationship stuff that it just got to the point where it's like, hey, we got to, just move on from here. There's no way that we can continue this working relationship going forward into the playoffs. But I think this is also, and when I was thinking about this as well too with Denver, because their assistant that moved into the role, at least for me anyways, like that's a name that I've seen around in head coaching circles a little bit more than the guy that moved up for the Grizzlies assistant. Because I think the Grizzlies assistant they just brought in either this offseason or the past offseason. But again, like Adelman's been in he's been in coaching circles for a long time, or at least for the last couple of years, as a guy that's like, hey, at one point he'll definitely be an NBA head coach. So if you're Denver and you don't necessarily think that you are a championship team, because the article that I did read about it was like, this is like to maximize our opportunity to win the championship this year, and we got to make sure we're still trying to strive to win the finals this year and all that stuff. But really what this does is give you a chance to evaluate that assistant head coach in a playoff series. Because again, and maybe there is working relationship, like, because Michael Malone, even with the failures of the team this year, I think is still obviously a pretty good head coach. He's got to be the most successful head coach in Nuggets history, right, Chat? I guess, we could look at that in a second. But if you think that the coaching candidate that you have is head coaching level, head coaching material, and you think he's going to be potentially gone next year because he's going to get a head coaching job, and that he's been pursued heavily over the last couple of years, now you can keep him around as well too. You can hire him on as the full-on head coach, which I imagine if they do, and I guess that's what happens if you do overachieve in the playoffs a little bit now compared to whatever because now your expectations are obviously you're not going to win the title. Like, did Ty Lue didn't win the title the year that he took over, right, Chad? And this is totally different than Ty Lue taking over earlier into the season. Then maybe he did, Chad. Then Adelman taking over with like 4 games left in the regular season. The last day of the regular season is Sunday. So, he coached 41 games that first season in LA, and then I guess they did win the title this year, chat. 15-16. So I guess if you're gonna do a little Tyronn Lue situation, but again, even 41 games as the head coach. But I guess has Adelman been an assistant there longer, chat? So maybe his time with the team, his ability to move into Tyronn Lue's nickname is Lou Hefner. I didn't know that, chat. Another iconic nickname find on Basketball Reference. Lou Hefner will definitely be in rotation going forward for Tyronn Lue. But yeah, and if you're the Grizzlies, again, thinking back to it as well too, like they were in a similar situation where they really liked the prospects of the associate that they had on staff. And I don't know if he was necessarily going to get pursued in the offseason the same way the Denver guy is, but if you think that you're not necessarily going to, again, achieve in the play, if you're not going to win the finals, if you're going, okay, if we make the conference finals, like that's cool. We probably don't think we're going to realistically like win the finals this year. Then let's give the associate guy a chance in the head coaching role. We're going to probably make a move at the end of the season anyways. And let's just evaluate him in these high game situations and see what he does. It's like, an on-the-job interview. And the Colts had a little bit of this, like, and it was such a different situation, obviously, with Pagano and Arians, chat. But the fact that you got to actually, from just the evaluation standpoint of seeing the associate in big moments, and that team overachieved in a lot of regular season games, and I forget if that team ended up actually winning a playoff game or not. That wasn't the team, because Pagano was on the team that went to the conference championship game against New England. You forget that Luck was in a championship game, chat. Not a very competitive one, not a memorable one. I guess, though, unfortunately, the only reason you do remember is because Grigson snitched on Brady and the Patriots, and then, Deflategate happened at that point. But would that have been 14 or 15? I guess it would have been 14. I guess we probably should have just looked at the records for Luck. We probably should just know our own team's history a little bit better as well too. Yeah, 45-7. We just gotta. Sometimes you just gotta erase the history, chat. It is what it is. But it would have been 2 seasons before that. In 2012, did we win? No, yeah, we lost to Baltimore, and I forget exactly. Maybe, I forget if Arians was the coach for the team in the playoff game or not, Chad. Not that it would have mattered. It was, an up-and-coming team, a team that overachieved in the regular season anyways. But again, you got to see the team overachieve, and you got to actually evaluate. Other teams got to, see and evaluate Arians on the job. And if you're the Nuggets, you actually get to see, potentially what your assistant is able to do in the playoffs with this team. If you're the Grizzlies, you get the same thing as well. So I get from a sensibility standpoint, it would seem like, hey, Michael Malone, if he's going to be around in the long term, or, it would seem more likely that they would make a change, obviously, after the playoffs. Again, with the Grizzlies as well, too, with all, as much as we've even defended Ja here, obviously Ja's not Jokic, and the playoff upside potential, at least, the confidence in the playoff upside that we have in what Ja can bring to the table versus what Jokic can bring to the table. Even if you would look at the Grizzlies supporting cast and go, oh, what is, if you put Jokic on the Grizzlies, is that like sneaky a finals team? Who knows, chat? Jokic and Jared Jackson's kind of a fun combo. And then Desmond Bane, is he going to be worse than Jamal Murray this year? Again, Jamal Murray's played well this year at times, but I don't know if he's had a better season than Desmond Bane has had. So, that could be a sneaky little bit of an upgrade. But just because of how powerful Jokic is, you'd want to seem like, okay, we don't want to mess things up until we get to the offseason, and we don't want to necessarily make too dramatic of changes until, like, let's just let the season ride out. You never know what's going to happen in the playoffs. You never know what kind of Jokic performances you're going to get. And you never know. Well, I guess you do. You just never know, like, how high level they're going to get. And then you never know what your matchups are going to be as well, too, and how the cards are going to fall in that way. And even in the matchups, you're not, like, necessarily banking on what's going to happen with the health of the other team. I'm just saying you obviously never know. So do you want to start making these dramatic changes? But I think it kind of makes sense for him. But again, I think the fact is surprising is that Michael Malone, I don't know if we thought that Malone was necessarily the problem. Like, we'd have to go back and grind the tape, chat, and be like, okay, I guess, are we fans of the Nuggets rotation? Was the play call here in the right spot? Blah, blah, blah. But, they were making other moves in the front office as well, too. And to be honest, if we were just looking at the team, if we had to highlight, if it was like a one or the other situation, which I guess is a tough, would you rather situation to just hypothetically ask, but it did seem like maybe the construction of the team was a little bit more of a problem. And I don't know if there's like a, something with the young guys and Strother and Watson, and I don't know how they want to move the franchise forward, and if they didn't think Malone was doing a good job with the player development in that role, which I guess could definitely be a factor in it as well. Speaking, I guess we got a factor commercial on right now, so thanks for the prompt to get us to finish that sentence there. But that could definitely be a part of why they want to feel like they need to make a coaching change. But from an ownership standpoint as well, too, it's a little crazy. And again, like, we haven't necessarily got to dig into the full report yet, chat. So should we read up on what is actually happening with Michael Malone? But I don't know if these owners are necessarily, like, the Rams. I feel like they do a good job. Like, McVay is obviously stable and been there for a long time, and Snead and Stafford, and they all even Goff. They really gave Goff time to develop, and again, only made the move away from Goff to go get Stafford, who we kind of all agree was, and obviously it did work out to the highest degree. They won the Super Bowl. But again, in the moment, we all kind of knew that Stafford, given a upgraded opportunity, what he could potentially be capable of. So it made a whole lot of sense. Like, it's still a stable move to make in trading Jared Goff for Matt Stafford. So it's not necessarily an ownership group that I would think would make a lot of crazy changes. But again, on the other hand, he has been there for 10 years. And for as successful as the Nuggets have been, I guess there is a question of the what if for the team as well, too. But the injuries are always going to play a part. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how necessarily Michael Malone is a fall guy all the way. Like, again, you're just doing the full reset. I get that that's what teams got to do at some point, I guess. But a lot of times it was, the Murray injury. Again, Murray is even injured, in this season and hasn't been necessarily fully healthy, and felt like they haven't had the best roster. And maybe, speaking of ownership, is spending a part of that as well, too? So, the team's not going to spend, and then maybe Michael Malone's getting too expensive, chat. Do we need to look into the Michael Malone contract? Maybe they're trying to cut costs somewhere. Who knows? But, I mean, 10 seasons in Denver. I guess, 79 games coached this year. So, basically 10 seasons. Even though it's not quite 10 full seasons. But in 10 seasons, he did only have 3 50-win seasons. So, with Jokic, like, that is kind of crazy, chat. That is kind of crazy. And, it is a credit to those guys like Duncan and Curry as well, too, where you're just like, they're going to be the highest level of, and again, that's the Nuggets aren't right there at the upper 40s every year. So maybe Jokic is still in this same range and we're just picking nits at it. But, what levels do we have left to that Duncan can survive Jokic? Duncan, I don't know if he ever put up a 60, 30, and 20 games. So, it's got to be the accumulation of all the stats for our guy to be able to get the final legacy say and what's going on here. But there is definitely some eyebrows that could be raised a little bit at the Denver run. And, going forward, if you're like, if you were asking me, like, is Michael Malone a guy that you would be fantasy drafting as a head coach in the league that you'd really, really like. Obviously, he'd be higher up on the list because he's been, with the star players like Jokic. He's been a higher winning head coach, so it's not like I would say he's a bad head coach. But is he in that? And like Sam was asking, with Budenholzer and, with some of those mid-tier guys, quote unquote, and even guys that have won championship in the past, Frank Vogel as well too, Nick Nurse, all these guys that have been fired recently as well. In the future with what could potentially happen in San Antonio, he was asking, of course, would you be happy if the Spurs hired away one of these guys? And, hypothetically, if Michael Malone went to the Spurs, like, that'd be cool. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're definitely probably a 45-win team if we stay healthy, and there's a chance that we get into the playoffs and, win a couple rounds. And we've seen him win a finals with Jokic. So if Wemby turns into Jokic, then maybe Michael Malone wins a final with Wemby. Who knows? But I, again, would just be maybe more excited about the opportunity to give Mitch Johnson a chance in that role and just see what we have, the potential upside of that guy. So I can definitely see him not being the most secure in his head coaching spot either. But we'll see what the assistant does, chat, because again, his name has been floated out there quite a bit. So if he is really one of these hot prospects, then there is a chance that with Jokic, they could start overachieving in the playoffs. And I don't know if they want to, fresh look, all of that. I don't know how necessarily the team rallies. Do they start hey, this one's for Mike? We got to start winning these playoff games for Michael Malone. I don't know how if that works, or because then that benefits the owners. So do you have to start? And you don't want to necessarily boycott playoff games for your, you got to maybe choose a more noble cause than, well, let's say that, Michael Malone's job isn't a noble cause, but I'm assuming that the man will be finding employment if he is searching it. If there's some buyout situation as well too, and he's okay with just sitting on the sidelines for obviously, the rest of this year. I mean, could he join a coaching staff this year? I feel like the Clippers, this is a Ty Lue move right here. He brings Van Gundy in just off the ESPN, and again, he brought him in over the offseason and all that. But it's just hey, Michael Malone, you want to get revenge on the Nuggets? Hey, just come sit on the sideline for the Clippers and just let us know what you think about what do you know about Jokic? I mean, what an absolute potential cheat code if a team is just, and I guess I don't even know what the rules are. Can he even go to another team at this point in the season? Is that against NBA law if he starts divulging insider information right as the playoffs start? But hey, the Nuggets are the ones that fired their coach, so I don't know what you do there. But yeah, Dave Adelman is the guy that will be taking over. Not Popeye Jones, chat. Not Popeye Jones. Though I feel like we will see Popeye Jones in a head coaching spot at some point. So yeah, he has been in Denver since 2017-18. So he's been there since he's 36, chat. Has grown up as an assistant head coach in Denver, was in Minnesota. I know there's some NBA, his dad coached as well too, so he might have been in Minnesota there to start a season in Orlando, and then of course the run in Denver. So we're saying, his ability to step in as the lead guy and coach this team for the rest of the season is similar to the guys in for the Grizzlies, but maybe even more so because he's been with this team for almost every iteration for the team. He's been with Jokic basically Jokic's entire career and Jokic's entire prime. So he's definitely got a good sense, in Murray's entire career, Porter. So he's got a good sense of his stars and a good sense of just what the roster is probably capable of as well too. So I don't know what they're looking like right now for playoff matchups. And make no mistake, nobody does, because I was seeing playoff scenario charts, and by the time we get to Sunday, with the wins and losses, obviously it may even out a little bit, but as of right now, it is basically everybody 3 through 8 can just be in any one of those rankings. It's just complete and utter chaos, and we have no idea who's going to be where. But the 4-5, Nuggets Clippers, chat, there we go. Pencil it in right now. Michael Malone will be coaching for the Clippers. Ty Lue is probably on the phone right now. He's flying out to LA. He doesn't even have to fly, chat. He can drive. Malone's probably already got a timeshare out there anyway, so he can just move in his bachelor pad for the next couple of months and stay out in Hollywood. I mean, what a great way to celebrate your divorce from the Denver Nuggets, Chad, and just move out to LA, rebound with the Clippers and Ty Lue, and just pause, but rebound basketball wise with the Clippers. And are the Clippers gonna win the title this year? If you want to win the title, you probably go join the Thunder or something like that. But or go to the East maybe. Boston. The Knicks, are the Knicks gonna win the title? Malone to the Knicks, chat. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna be a high level name, and maybe even the hottest of those names as well too. Like we were saying, of those, I guess what's a respectful way to say it, chat? Because I'm not just because I'm saying I want to see the upside in our guy like Mitch Johnson doesn't mean I don't value what those coaches bring to the table as head coaches. So again, I don't want to call them like recycle head coaches or anything like that. But you get what I'm saying, like the guys that have just been around for a couple of teams now. It's just what it is, chat. Sometimes you have a couple. We all work jobs at a lot of places. Everybody bounces around. So, just because I've worked at like 6 fast food places doesn't mean that Michael Malone can't work for like 6 NBA teams. Just what it is, chat. But, between him and Budenholzer and Vogel and, who knows what happens with Nick Nurse and Morey in the offseason and just all these guys. Simmons was saying in his, I forget, what was it, like hot take storylines or whatever. I mean, I guess it was a hot take storyline, but he was saying like, what is going to happen with Tibbs if the Knicks get feisty in the playoffs this year? And if, if they maybe underachieve or, like if they lose in the, where are they at right now, Chet? The 3 seed. So, they would be against like Boston in the second round. So you're looking at it going, again, if they win against Detroit right now in the first round, but you're looking at it going, okay, them losing to Boston in a playoff series makes a lot of sense. But again, that's still, you got to climb the mountain to get to the top, chat. That's a quote from the Remington pod. That's just some wisdom we're dropping there. But yeah, you obviously got to get the wins of the teams, but that doesn't feel like a bad loss. But a second round playoff exit would probably be like, okay, it's probably a little earlier than we were expecting with this team. Then after, we pay Towns, we make the Towns trade, we make the Bridges trade. Probably want to at least be in the Final Four mix there. But, even if Tibbs gets in the mix, those are all guys that have been, again, respectfully recycled more recently in chat. Like Budenholzer just on the Suns the 1 year to Vogel. He's been around a couple of teams now. Nurse it's like, okay, his run in the Sixers was obviously really, really short. So Malone did have a very, again, long, like successful tenure for the Nuggets. And even his firing from the Kings as well, too, when they moved on. And, make no mistake, the Kings have now proven that they will definitely move on from a head coach earlier than expected with the last couple of hires that they've, hire fires that they've had. But, yeah, his run in Sacramento, though, 2 seasons, 11-13 that second season, it didn't feel like, and I guess that's off of, 28-54 is obviously not great. So you're looking at the total record there in Sacramento. 36% winning percentage is not great, even if it is only, I guess, 106 games. But it didn't feel like it was necessarily trending like downward. It still felt a little more shocking in the moment as well, too. But hasn't necessarily, left a job in total disaster. And again, this season was bad, but it didn't feel like Michael Malone was totally. There's reasons why Michael Malone was definitely struggling as a head coach, chat. And then again, there's reasons why the Nuggets made all the moves they did today. But if we're looking at the Michael Malone aspect of it, I do think he immediately goes right to the top as one of these head coaching prospects. And how does he rank in the first time guys is always going to be a little bit more intriguing probably. And even like the college guys as well too, I'd have to go back and look at the, get refreshed on the names. There's been some college guys, hired up into college teams, of course, as well too. And not there's always a ton of college guys being hired up for NBA head coaching jobs, but if there is a guy in the mix, Dusty May is going to be one of them, chat. Make no mistake, Dusty May's going to the NBA. It's just what it is. Or people were saying like Nate Oates after this tournament as well too. Nate Oates, and I think it was what Tate Frazier was saying that Oates is an NBA coach. He was saying that the BYU coach is an NBA coach as well too. So, you know, is Nate Oates a more intriguing prospect than Michael Malone, chat? If we're doing the Spurs test, Nate Oates versus Michael Malone. See again, I do like a new head coach, chat. Who doesn't love a first-time head coach? Who doesn't love the unknowing, the unknowing potential of what could be of Nate Oates' NBA tenure? But I think that Michael Malone's pretty good still. So I wouldn't be too mad if either one necessarily. I would be pretty neutral on either one. So if that's up the top of the mix, and again, like if Adelman's up at the top of the mix for head coaching candidates, he's already interiming in Denver now. So as of like the last couple hours. So is that going to be his job? Is the Grizzlies guys going to keep his job? Mitch Johnson's probably going to stay in San Antonio. So, okay, let's go back NBA here quick. Like, what other coaching moves are even to be made? I guess, and we're saying official as well, too. We rattled off a bunch of teams. So, you got to highlight Bud as, unfortunately, a potential. The Kings, I guess, already made a move. But does Doug Christie get the full-time job, chat? I mean, this is exactly the type of Kings move. Like, Mike Brown, 13 and 18 to start the season. Doug Christie, he's 26 and 22. This team is in the play-in game. They're the 9 seed now. And Zach LaVine put up like 40 points the other night. Nobody's going to mention it because, again, we got an all-time national championship game. And there was 2 NBA games on. Nobody cared. The Kings, Pistons, why are we going to pay attention to that, chat? But Zach LaVine just had a great night. Doesn't even matter. But it does matter, of course. But unfortunately, just not going to get brought up in the discourse. But 50, is he 29 games with Sacramento, Chet? He's 51-44? 22 points a game? I guess De'Aaron Fox, not on the team anymore. So if they had 3 20-point a game scores, if they somehow had Fox, LaVine, and DeRozan, it'd be kind of like, hey, that and Sabonis? It's an interesting combo. Keegan Murray. But they flip out LaVine for Fox, and to be honest, Chad, again, you're just looking at the numbers. Fox, 47, 32, 25 a game. And Fox, at his peak and what he was able to take that team to in the playoffs, and, clutch player of the year as well, too, I think. So he was a really big fourth quarter player for them, but LaVine has been clutch as well. LaVine has, that's a tough one, Chad. And it's not necessarily as tough from the Spurs angle of it because, again, they're not giving up LaVine in that move. So if you're looking at the picks that they gave up to get Fox back, again, that is good value of it. But the fact that it's like, wait, we might not even have got the best end of that deal. And the long-term stuff of it, LaVine's contract, what they're going to be able to build out as a team there. And again, we have Wembanyama. But if we're just looking at that deal specifically, it is an interesting deal that seemed like a monumental franchise type move, but again, Sacramento's the 9 seed right now, so they're trending upward. But when they run it back with Zach LaVine and Doug Christie and DeMar DeRozan next year, make no mistake, they will still be, what are they right now? 39-win team. They'll still be a 39-win team at probably the end of the season instead of with 4 games to go. So, Doug Christie getting to the 40-win mark, I don't know if that's going to lock him in as the head coach. Who knows, chat? Who knows what Sacramento is able to do there. But I feel like, again, you kind of got to maybe slide Doug Christie into that spot. So at least it's like a 50-50 right now. And I guess we could start getting frisky in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta, but with Quinn Snyder and his resume, he still feels like a guy that you'd want to give a couple of years. Like Richer is starting to play well now. There again, the Jalen Johnson injury was a big impactful injury in terms of the upside of this team. And you made the Hunter trade. You got a first-round pick that is probably going to be still a lottery pick, if I'm not mistaken. Here, let's go back and check that. Shout out Tugler, chat. I guess we haven't been on the Tankathon page since the championship game. But yeah, they now have that, at least the 14th pick with that Kings first-round pick. So, at least they'll be able to continue to acquire some young talent. They have a bunch of young talent. So I don't know if they're like in a desperate we need to make a head coaching type move. It would just be that, like, oh yeah, we're looking at like Nate Oates and we're like, that's the future. Like, we have to bring in the next head coaching prospect, and this is the move. Orlando's a sneaky one, of course, with with the injuries that they've had this year, it's just been an up and down team. But you can't necessarily say that it's going to keep a head coach safe because, again, Michael Malone just got canned. But just that young core, do you want to give it a full, like, good season, or maybe at least one more season and just be like, hey, is there a chance that we do get that full healthy season, one more season of Paolo elevating, Franz elevating, Anthony Black, all these guys to step up, good off season, and then maybe we can make moves once that happens. I guess Milwaukee has got to be like just a big flashing red light chat for head coaching vacancy. I mean, there could be a lot of vacancies in Milwaukee by the end of the offseason, definitely. Or, middle of the offseason, beginning of the offseason. Cleveland, Boston, I guess we'll highlight New York just to be pessimistic right now. But Milwaukee, I'm not going to say Orlando, Chad. I can't bring myself to say Orlando. I don't think so yet. Chicago, they're going to be in the play-in mix here, so I don't know if they're going to be making moves. Spoelstra's safe. Toronto, maybe, Brooklyn, of course, Philly, but Charlotte is, I think, pretty happy with Charles Lee, Chad, and of course, they're going to be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes as well. And then Brian, I didn't realize the head coach for the Wizards, his last name was Keefe, Chad. It's just what it is, I guess. Brian Keefe, the Brooklyn assistant to Washington, to interim head coach last year, to full-time head coach this year. I forgot about the Brian Keefe rise to head coach for the Wizards. Yikes. I guess it's just how tuned out we've been at Wizards games that we haven't. I'm trying to think. I haven't even seen this year one. This is the last thing I need to see before the regular season wraps up, chat, is a cutaway to the Wizards sideline. I think I've seen everybody else. I guess, have I seen every player play? I probably haven't seen every player play, but we've seen a good chunk of the major players, and by major players I'm saying, I'm throwing like 9-10 man in there, like guys that are consistently in rotations at any level. Like, I feel like we've seen most of those players play. We've seen in the course of the games, most of the coaches, at least, again, cutaways to most of the sidelines. But I feel like the one thing left, chat, the one bridge left to cross for this NBA season is a cutaway to the Wizards sideline. And I think they're playing the Pacers right now, so unfortunately, the League Pass is going to have that game in a blackout. But maybe we have to go. Do we have to go dark web to get a cutaway to Brian Keefe? Hey, yo! Whoa. I don't think we're the first people to say that, but probably the first people to say it in terms of basketball. Anyways. But as of right now, and again, they're going to be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So that could be one where, do you feel like Brian Keefe is the future with Cooper Flag? Who knows? Oh, wait, are they not? Oh, they are playing the Pacers right now. And they're winning, chat. Keith! It's 66-52. Sar with 18, 10, and 5. 7-11 from the field. Champagny, the other Champagny, 3 for 4. Playing like the better Champagny almost as of late. Poole, 7 for 14. I mean, as a team, what are we? 44%? Okay, I guess some of the other guys bring it down. AJ Johnson, shout out, 1 for 6. JT Thor, 0 for 3. And who's C. Jones off the bench, chat? For some reason, I'm not remembering who's C. Again, I feel like we've seen a lot of these guys, but okay. I guess the Wizards, we have to get a shot of a pause of C. Jones. Oh, Colby Jones? Colby Jones is on the Wizards? Oh, chat, shout out. Okay, so we need to see Colby Jones play some minutes, and we need to get a cutaway to the Wizards sideline. Because everybody else, I feel like, in this lineup we've seen play. Even Brogdon, I guess, have we seen Smart play for the Wizards, but is Smart even in for this season, chat? Is he even logged a minute for the Wizards? 34 games this year. Let's see. So maybe just catching up more on Wizards. 1 game start, 15 games played, 18 minutes a game. Smart. 44%, 39% from three. Smart's only 30? Holy cow. Feels like Marcus Smart's 42. Marcus Smart, he's going to be making an NBA comeback this year, chat. 34% from three on the season, I guess. But yeah, his 15 games with the Wizards have been a turnaround. He's found the fountain of youth in Washington, I guess. Not a lot of people have said that, chat. 280 minutes played. So there we go. You've got us, chat, dead to rights. We've missed exactly 280 minutes of Wizards basketball. It's just what it is. I don't know what to tell you guys. You got me. I'm exposed. REMINGTOM pod exposed live. But, yeah, so we got to check out Marcus Smart. But, do the Wizards get sneaky? The Jazz, Hardy's safe. The Pelicans, chat. I feel, unfortunately, is Willie Green just going to have to be like a sacrificial lamb to what's going on here? I feel like if we're going the combo, it's more likely the combo than just the coach. But again, the combo is definitely in play. But if they get Cooper Flag somehow, or even in the top four, if you start going Edgecombe and Jackie Kunis back-to-back picks is wild. But or Malik, and who's the center for him? Chat Missy's played well this year, so I don't know if you go back-to-back centers. Zion, Malik, and Missy, can those three guys play together? Do you bring in Knipple if you're New Orleans? I guess if you, for some reason, I don't know how far they can slide. Probably not that far. But yeah, probably to 5, honestly, is the lowest they can go. But if you bring in one of those top 3 players, are you going to be making a head coach change in the offseason? I don't know, chat. But anyways, I guess Michael Malone could go to a younger team, for sure. But Philly is definitely, I'm looking at that Eastern Conference, Philly, Milwaukee, and again, if we're taking Simmons seriously, I guess not like seriously because he's not reporting, but if we're entertaining his opinions, and thinking the Knicks potentially as a top tier Eastern Conference team, and is Thibodeau to Malone a coaching upgrade? Is it a different style of coach that maybe benefits the team a little bit more? Is Michael Malone a good fit in Milwaukee or New York? I could see Malone in New York. I could see him in Philly as well, too, for sure. I mean, New York feels like Tibbs as a big market coach. There's something about that feels right. Like, Tibbs feels like a big personality head coach. Michael Malone, I feel like, can dabble in big personality head coach, but I don't know if he necessarily lives in that A tier. But Tibbs just feels like pause chat. But, not that his name value and coaching status have been, he's obviously been a great head coach for his tenure, but he feels like Tibbs, his dominant voice, ice. He feels like a strong presence on the sideline. So I don't know if the GMs just get intimidated when he walks into the room and they just can't fire him. They're like, Tibbs, we have to talk to you. It's like, what? Like, oh, never mind. We'll just go keep coaching Towns. Tibbs just starts turning into Batman in these meetings. Thank you for my job. So shout out to Tibbs. But, a Doc Rivers potential. Maybe Doc Rivers just says, hey, I'm calling it quits early, Chad. Who knows? But I guess, speaking of Van Gundy earlier, Van Gundy has to be in the mix as well, too, for head coaches. Is that do we do a little Nuggets Clippers swap, chat? And obviously it's not going to happen this year. I don't think they're going to hire Van Gundy with 4 games left to go in the regular season. Again, I don't even know that is possible. But Van Gundy to Denver could be crazy. His defensive-minded coach with Jokic, I guess I don't know, we need to brush up on what Malone's coaching philosophies are. That's the thing, when you play with Jokic, I feel like we've kind of lost even what kind of coach Malone is. It's just Jokic is out there, and Jokic at the end of these games orchestrates so much. But the defensive mindedness that Van Gundy could bring to the team could definitely be a fun wrinkle. And just him as just a great basketball mind in general. He's obviously going to bring wins to that team. Or do they go the younger? But I guess, like we're saying, they're going to keep Adelman either way. So Van Gundy back to New York. That would be the full circle moment, chat. Van Gundy back on the Knicks. Would he want to go back to the Knicks? I feel like he would, Chad. He's got to go back. Brunson, Towns, that team. Bridges, he could definitely take over. Because if you're going to choose between him and Milwaukee and him in New York, like, you might as well just have him run it back with that team. And it feels right. Again, big personalities. Like, again, shout out to Milwaukee. And I'm assuming they keep Giannis. Like, what a run for Michael Malone if he just went from the Western Conference to coach Jokic to the Eastern Conference to coach Giannis. But him coaching Giannis in Milwaukee, like, that makes sense. Again, we just saw him in Denver coaching a great star. So a big personality guy like Van Gundy on the Knicks, I'm not saying that that's the perfect basketball for basketball fit. Again, his defensive mindedness. Could he get Towns to play the best defense of his career, chat? With Brunson and maximizing Bridges, and who knows what they do with the Anunoby piece as well, too. But with the way he's playing offensively, it feels like he's kind of earning his spot back in the team in the offseason, chat. We had a whole playoff run for him to earn or lose that spot. But this has been definitely, again, a very encouraging offensive stretch. And this game as well, too, has been a great game by the Knicks. Orlando could be a fun, I guess, do we just want to see him in the East? Is there something about Malone in the East? Because, again, a lot of these Western Conference jobs, I feel like, are pretty locked in at this point. Because the Grizzlies, he's not going to go to the Nuggets. If the Grizzlies are going to hire their interim, the Kings, do the Mavs get frisky? Do the owners just start going, hey, what happened? Does Kidd become a guy that has to take a hike from Dallas? Who knows? Phoenix? Malone in Phoenix? Is this just a rotating cast of the guys that won the championship recently? So he either goes to Phoenix and coaches Devin Booker, if Devin Booker's still there, or he coaches Giannis. But I guess the question becomes, what stars are still there? Because does he become a star-chasing head coach like that? So Phoenix, depending on the type of team they build, I guess is going to be what type of head coach. Same with Milwaukee. Not that the rumblings are there in the same way yet, but I feel like once we get to the offseason, that's going to be a hot name for Giannis being traded for just all kinds of chaos with that team. I guess Brooklyn just doesn't really feel like that really intrigues as an option. But Philly could be fun, even though it is a bit of a salary cap, it's a salary cap maze to navigate, make no mistake. But definitely with Maxey there, with McCain there, there's at least some building blocks, and then who knows what the long-term pieces are, Embiid or otherwise, chat, if we put it that way. But yeah, Michael Malone, and I guess we were going to check to see where he ranked in all-time Nuggets head coaches as well, too. I guess I was not thinking of George Karl, chat, when I said greatest coach in Nuggets franchise history. How does the Nuggets fans remember George Karl? DM us, Nuggets fans. Rem and Sam Pod on Instagram. Let us know. Do you guys consider George Karl the greatest Nuggets coach of all time? Or I guess because Malone won the title, he has to be, right, chat? Are we just walking around in circles here through team pages and coaching pages? We'll actually get to the Nuggets franchise at some point. Here we go, chat. Of course, the OG Nuggets logo. Not a 90s logo this time, but that 2010s logo is pretty iconic. And maybe it's just the mellow Nuggets, a team that we're probably kind of nostalgic for. Brian Shaw, probably not going to be in the mix. Issel had a 90s run with the team. Did not last very long. Bickerstaff, earlier, Issel, a couple of runs. So we got a Mo here. Who's D-Mo? Hey, yo. D-Mo? Pause? What a name. Doug Mo? Doug Edwin Mo had a bit of a run here for the Nuggets. Did he have a decade-long tenure? 10 seasons. 10 seasons at 54.8%. So didn't win a title, of course. And is there a playoff resume here that we can look at? Oh, here it is, chat. 8-7 is his best playoff. So 84-85 is the most playoff games they played. Lakers won the title that year. So did they get matched up against the Lakers? They did, chat. Oh, in the Western Conference Finals. So our guy Doug Moe made a Western Conference Finals in 85. and then got taken down in 5 games to Kareem and Magic. I mean, Kareem and Magic in 85, chat. I feel like most teams probably would have lost this. And Byron Scott's averaging 23 points a game, and you have Kareem and Magic. I mean, you're kind of screwed. I don't know what else you can do. Byron Scott's torn. And you got Bob McAdoo. I don't think, 5 games. Oh, this was for this series. So, yeah, Bob McAdoo, not really a scoring factor in this series, but just striking fear into the hearts of the other team, chat, when he's out there. So, our guy, Alex English, shout out. Issel, a 36-year-old Issel, maybe at the end of 11 points a game. Yeah, English not getting the help he needs. An all-time series from our guy, Alex English. 30 points a game, 51% from the field. Oh, man. Alex English, this is why he's a legend. This is why he's first team All-Remington right here, chat. Or, technically second team. The Blade? Yeah. That's right, chat. Blade, our guy Blade. The Vampires? Oh, hey, yo, chat. Cancel us now. But, we were just thinking nicknames. We were not thinking the opponent that he was playing against. But he did have 13th place in MVP voting this year, 6th, 12th, 8th, 14th, and 11th. So he did get on the MVP ballot 6 times. Only twice top 10, once almost top 5. And that would have been 82-83. He was 28 points a game that year, Chad. So this 84-85 season in general, he was 51% from the field. 20. And just his whole career, Chad, he's 50% from the field, 20 points a game. I mean, if we did a career rankings, chat, we're going to get in sketchy territory. I feel like MJ is definitely 50% for his career. We're talking about the greatest basketball player of all time. He may even be a little bit over. 49.7. There you go, chat. I know the Wizards' years might bring it down a little bit, but if we go his Bulls run, he's 31 a game, obviously, and 6 times. I'm not saying that Alex English is in comparison to Michael Jordan. I'm just comparing the scoring efficiency at which he was operating at the highest level. He was operating at the highest levels of efficiency when he was out there. Again, do we start going into the fourth quarter minutes? This is a one-time to say don't DM us on the REMINGTOM pod. You can still DM us. Let us know what you think about the Alex English MJ conversation. But make no mistake, we get it. MJ over Alex English. I'm not sitting here saying that. Wait a second, Alex English. I'm looking at the stats. They're kind of close. I mean, they're not close, really. Even 20 points a game. We get it. But I'm just saying the man was a scoring machine and never failed. He didn't miss, chat, for basically a decade. Not a lot of guys didn't miss that much. But is Doug Moe's 85 season, like if Doug Moe had Alex English, or not, if he did have Alex, if Doug Moe had Nikola Jokic, would he have won the 85? What a series, chat. Alex English and Nikola Jokic versus Magic and Kareem. This is why we need AI right here to cook up these hypothetical basketball matchups, hologram basketball matchups. Can we just somehow, and I guess no disrespect, we don't need to get rid of Dan Issel in this. Like, can we do a historical trade? But then do we have to bring Dan Issel into modern times? And now 36-year-old Dan Issel is on the Nuggets. It's like, wait, what happened? Michael Malone got fired and now Dan Issel's back from 84, 80. It looks like Dan Issel from 1984. He's back on the Nuggets. What happened? But we need this hypothetical finals matchup. Jokic and Kareem in 85. Obviously, it's not like peak. Was he MVP of the league? No, Bird was MVP of the league this year. Maybe this was one of his later finals MVP years. Let's see. Maybe this was a Magic one, 85. It was Kareem, 25, 9, and 5. So you're still obviously, Kareem, again, speaking of guys playing well until the end, I mean, obviously Kareem was the top of the league up until the very last year. But, a 37-year-old Kareem versus whatever age Jokic you want to put in that game. Oh, Jesus, chat. Kareem's still at 60% from the field. I mean, he didn't miss. Byron Scott. In the playoffs, at least in this series, he was down to 11 points a game. So that feels a little bit more palatable on the box score, chat. But either way, it doesn't matter. And this, I guess we're looking at the Celtics series, the finals, not the playoff series versus the Nuggets. But yeah, shout out to Doug Moe for his run on the Nuggets, but I don't know if it's quite better than Malone. It didn't seem like he had a ton of like, again, Malone maybe some early playoff exits as well too, but conference semis. So really only the 2 conference finals appearances as well too in 2 seasons. What did Carl do, Chad? Do we need to look at the Carl stat? Just 1 conference finals appearance? Okay, good. Thank goodness. So we can just keep it moving. But he made 1 conference finals and 3 semis? So does 3 semis equal 3/4 of a title? So that means 4 semis equals 1 title? I don't think that's how the math works out, chat. Oh, they did have Larry Brown for a couple of years, and he did win 60 games. They lost the finals, I guess, in the ABA with Larry Brown. So does the 4-year Larry Brown, 4.5-year Larry Brown run for when they moved to the NBA, made the Western Conference Finals, lost the finals, semis, divisional rounds? I think we already looked at this one year, right, chat? One live stream. Yeah. The Nets won the finals this year. Irvin was the MVP. But Dave Thompson, Rookie of the Year. So a rookie, I mean, you forget, chat, Dave Thompson, one of the great young players in the league, took his Denver team to the finals as a rookie. Second in MVP voting that year. Yes, he did, chat. 50% from the field, 26 a game. In the playoffs, 13 games played. So I guess shorter series for the ABA, but still 26 a game. 53% from the field. So his scoring even went up. And look at him as a playoff player. Again, we're talking ABA a little, but I guess there's only 1 ABA season here to 3 NBA seasons. And again, I know the David Thompson run was maybe a little shorter than some others, but still 5 playoff runs for Denver. 38 games, 24.7 points a game, and almost 49% from the field is a really, really good performer, chat. I mean, 49, basically 50% from 2 in his playoff career with Denver, and 25 a game. So you're talking about a very, very elite, high-scoring athletic guard for our guy, David Thompson. Classic, chat. ABA all-time team. Literally just one of the greatest players in ABA history. Him, Dr. J, can we click into this, chat? Oh, it'll have to remain a mystery, I guess, for another live stream. But I guess, for the Rev and Sam predictions of what'll happen, that's what it is going to be, chat. Michael Malone will go to the Clippers for the rest of the season, and then he will go... I feel like he'll go coach Milwaukee, and then Giannis will, request a trade halfway through the year. So then he'll be left in Milwaukee without Giannis. And Adelman will take over in Denver. And then Jeff Van Gundy goes back to the Knicks. Bam, chat. I think we figured it out. And Calvin Booth goes to the booth. I don't know what happens, chat. But the Nuggets, I guess that would be the last piece to figure out. Is what happens with Calvin Booth. Because like we were saying, I don't know if this is necessarily a pointing fingers pod. But I feel like it is just interesting to go through the moves and see what he did, chat. So his first season he was there, obviously, was the year that they did win the title. So is it a little Gruden-esque? Gruden versus Dungy? Because he took over for Connolly, remember? And Connolly is the guy, Minnesota has built a team that arguably, ended the Nuggets' run. But is one of those guys that might be in the top mix for best GMs in the league. Obviously, has Minnesota been perfect? The Randall Towns thing is a little confusing. Maybe is that ownership, money stuff? Who knows if that's a Connolly move or what the directives were there. But still that first year from Connolly, and really doesn't, if you see, I don't think does a lot, chat, in terms of making the moves. He does draft Braun, which is a good pick. Braun's still a good player. I think maybe some of the free agency stuff has been where they've struggled. I think some of the draft stuff has not been bad from Booth, to be honest. So draft Braun, traded JaMychal Green in a first for Peyton Watson in a second. Maximo Lewis was later selected, and Tyler Kolek was later selected. Both those players, interesting, chat. I don't know. Maximo Lewis and Tyler Kolek, essentially, for Peyton Watson is... I don't necessarily know who wins that trade. I just still have a lot of Maxwell Lewis stocks, so I'm giving out hope that the Maxwell Lewis side of that deal can potentially win. But we have a lot of Peyton Watson stock as well too, so not necessarily a bad trade whatsoever. But a 2027 first, just straight up for Peyton Watson, is a little aggressive. But then I don't know exactly what the JaMychal Green contract looked like at that point as well too. So maybe you get a little contract reset in there as well. Yeah, so he signs their guy. And that was a draft night trade, I guess, also. So that's right. He got Braun and Watson, then gets Gillespie on the two-way contract. Traded Will Barton and Monte Morris for KCP and Ish Smith. So you know what, Chad? That honestly was the title-pushing type move. And then signed Bruce Brown. So as much as it was him taking over for Connolly, he did orchestrate the last pieces to sign that team. But maybe Connolly, I don't know when Connolly left. When did he take over? Does it say? May 23rd, 2022? So it was a month before the offseason. I guess unless Connolly had the game plan for the offseason literally laid out for him, he did do a good job in this offseason of that's a great trade for a 3-and-D wing that was highly impactful for him. And Bruce Brown as well, too. We know his playmaking impact for the team that won the title. Traded the second-round pick to Portland for Ishmael Kamagate in a second-round pick. Blah, blah, blah. Bunch of moves. Devon Reed, DeAndre Jordan. Jack White. Signed the drummer Jack White. I'm not dumb, right, chat? Jack White's a drummer? I feel like I heard that on a Bill Burr pod at one point. Guitar player? Oh, just musician in general. Okay. Shout out, of course. Oh, the White Stripes! I feel like this is the second time that we've not known a White Stripes person or band name and just stumbled across them randomly because we like. But hey, that just shows you the power of the White Stripes. They're just subconsciously in our mind. He recorded Another Way to Die, the title song for James Bond's '08 film Quantum of Solace, chat. So that's probably an A+ reason why the White Stripes would be in our subconscious, because those James Bond films are, of course, always in rotation. Yeah, alongside Alicia Keys, making them the only duet to perform a Bond theme. Jack White and Alicia Keys. I meant to revisit that song a little bit more, chat. Obviously, Alicia Keys is gonna push the, in the song recommendation portion, that'll be the part that pushes me over the top. But James Bond theme as well, too. I guess I'll just rewatch the movie. Okay, you got me. You talked me into it, chat. But Reggie Jackson, I guess Maxwell Lewis, then they ended up trading away. 4-team trade. Traded a 2029 first to OKC. The Denver traded Maxwell Lewis to the Lakers. The Pacers traded Pickett and Strother to the Nuggets. The Lakers traded Mojave King. Somebody needs to bring Mojave King back in the league. That's a name that just needs to be heard by people. In the cash to the Indiana Pacers, the Oklahoma City Thunder traded Hunter Tyson in a 2024 second-round pick. Kevin McCullough was later selected to the Denver Nuggets. And OKC traded a 2024 first-round pick. Isaiah Collier was later selected, and a 2024 first-round pick to the Pacers. 2022 second-round pick, blah, 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 blah. So this was essentially they traded a 2027 first-round pick for Pickett, and a 2029 first-round, or for Peyton Watson, and a 2029 first-round pick for Pickett, Strother, and Tyson, essentially. If, you're making that the main pieces, and then, of course they have to add in the pieces to make everything work out. But those 2 first-round picks for those guys, again, he made good wins to win the title in that offseason, but I guess in the next offseason to set them up for the future is, of course, maybe where things went a little bit awry. And re-signed Reggie Jackson, signed a couple more younger players, selected Ryan Dunn in the first round of the 2024 draft, traded Ryan Dunn in a 2026 second and a 2031 second to the Phoenix Suns for Deron Holmes in a 2026 is Denver Zone, 2031 is Denver Zone as well too. That's another killer trade, because I actually Ryan Dunn has been really good, and there is a good chance that he is a better NBA player than Deron Holmes, but in the moment I would have supported that all the way. The Remington Pod, that's a first team all REMINGTOM NCAA guy from the last year when he was playing there at Dayton. So I would have bringing De'Ron Holmes into any roster, I would have been pro that move. But him getting hurt and losing his impact for whatever that would have been for this season. And again, like, that's not a trade. It is maybe you think he's got a little more offensive upside long term, but you do think that he can bring value to the team right away. It's similar to Dunn, where you're like, Dunn with his defense can get out on the court right away. You lose, again, I'm not saying that he's maybe lost he has, I guess, but not saying the Nuggets have lost the long-term upside with what Holmes brings to the table, but for what they could have been doing this year, just having Dunn on the court would have at least maybe made his job a little bit more safe. Who knows? Trey Alexander out to a 2-8 contract. Part of a 6-team trade, traded a 2025 second to Minnesota. They also traded a 2025 second to Dallas. Reggie Jackson in a 2029 second and a 2030 second to Charlotte. Charlotte traded Cash in a 2025 second to the Nuggets. The Mavs traded Josh Green to the Hornets. The Mavs traded a 2031 second to the Sixers. The Warriors traded Klay to the Mavs. The Warriors traded Cash in a 2031 second to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves traded Kyle Anderson to the Warriors, and the Sixers traded Buddy Hield to the Warriors. So I guess the Nuggets just kind of slipped in here for basically just getting rid of the Reggie Jackson contract. They gave up 3 first-round picks to get rid of Reggie Jackson's contract. I don't know if I read that correctly, chat, but that's the way the math was mathing for me there. So that's kind of a brutal move as well, too. But then, of course, signs his rookie, signs a bunch of guys, signs Saric, re-signed DeAndre Jordan, and signed Russell Westbrook, which I know he's had his ups and downs, but what else were they going to do, chat? And to be honest, again, he's had his ups as well, too. So I don't know if you can call this a bad move for a veteran. Like, he's going to get the Russell Westbrook's expectations, but what's he, like a veteran minimum contract type guy? Not disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, maybe we have to adjust what the expectations are compared to what his value is being presented at in the league right now. So I'm not going to sit here and try to, like, I'm pro Westbrook, chat. I'm not going to sit here and try to cut down Westbrook, but I'm just saying that I don't think that we can necessarily say that this is a bad move, even if it's not necessarily Russell Westbrook's going to push this team over the top to win the title. So is it a little hasty, I guess, to make the move? You can make the case for this. And again, Michael Malone's been there for a while, but yeah, chat, I get it. You want to see what they're going to do in the playoffs. It may make sense. But shout out Calvin Booth. He did make important moves to round out that title team. So that is important to mention as well, too. Just for his own legacy standpoint, this is going to be a time where, it's not going to be brought up because, unfortunately, losing his job, it's going to be like, why did he lose his job? What are the storylines that led to us getting to this place? But, again, part of the reason they won the title, as great as, it's Jokic mostly, but those role players were very instrumental in them getting that ring. So shout out for what they were able to accomplish in Denver. Hopefully their next stop for either of them is successful as well too, chat. But let's take a quick break. We got 7:19 left in the third quarter. Boston has taken the lead back by 4. So New York was our only hope so far to stop Boston fans. Not only hope. New York, maybe they do it. Maybe Cleveland does it. But maybe New York does it tonight, chat. Pause. We shall see. Also, 7 minutes left in this Hawks Magic game as well, too. Reese Shea. Can he make the 9-point comeback with 9.5 left? There's a 3. Can he cut it to 6? He does, chat. We'll see if Reese Shea completes the comeback on the other side. All right, chat. We should actually be paying attention what happens in some of these games. Forget the Nuggets. They'll figure out their stuff and they'll get. Yeah, they have Jokic. They'll be fine. That's what we want at the end of the day, right? So, I mean, outside of Wembanyama, what else could you ask for? But look at this, chat. I knew we were gonna forget. I told myself in the back of my mind, if you don't. So earlier when I was talking about it, I was thinking to myself, if you don't switch over to the Lakers game right now as it was starting, you're gonna forget about it. And I definitely did. And it looks like we may have just missed the greatest half of basketball that was played this year. Or should I say the best half? Lakers put up 72. That's right, chat. 152 points. Is the mic going? Testing 1, 2. Hello, hello? Oh, chat. For some reason, we're getting malfunction notifications here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, chat. I think we're back in. But yeah, again, the Thunder put up 80. The Lakers put up 72 points in the first half, and insane performances from all the lead guys. Reeves is leading the day for the Lakers. He has 18. LeBron has 11. Luka has 16. And Shea has 21. Jalen Williams with 17. And Lou Dort, 5 of 6 from 3 in the first half with 17. But again, this Reese or Shea game is close right now, and I kind of want to see how Reese or Shea handles the rest of this fourth quarter. So it's halftime anyways. We've missed the first half. It is what it is. We might as well just wait for halftime to end. Finish up the end of this Hawks Magic game, and then we'll officially make the jump over to Lakers versus Thunder. But speaking of the Nuggets a little bit, chat, Shea does need a performance, I think, in this game like this. Not necessarily a Thunder's win, like, the playoffs, they'll be able to figure out their stuff come playoff time. They'll have to play well regardless of what happens in the regular season. They're the 1 seed anyway, so the seeding and the home court stuff is established, again, regardless of what happens in these games. But for the MVP stuff, chat, it does seem like the storylines are shifting to Jokic a little bit. I don't know if he's shifted to the win, but it does seem like people are entertaining him more so for the MVP now than they were a couple of months ago. And I don't want to say that Rem and Sam, we were leading the charge, but, I mean, check the tapes, people. I feel like we were one of the people being reasonable throughout this. And not to say that voting for Shea, if the league had ended like 60 games in and we'd all voted for Shea, not to say that that would have been unreasonable, but it's like, okay, Jokic is the MVP of the league. Like, the whole time we've been sitting here going, that is still undoubtable. I don't know. Shea is awesome. And again, we could rank Shea. I'd still personally player rankings, I might rank it a certain way, chat. But you could say Shea's the second best player in the league right now. You could say he's playing like the best player in the league in certain nights. That'd be kind of ridiculous, obviously. It's still Jokic. But again, Jokic's not just the best player in the league. The value that he's bringing to the Nuggets is the most of any team in the league. So yeah, they're not the 64-win powerhouse. And Shea has the regular season success on top of his individual stats also being historic in a way as well too. But Jokic's stats are just so historic, chat, and he's so consistently awesome that it's just like this whole time we're like, okay, yeah, he is the MVP of the league. It's like Mahomes. Mahomes is the MVP of the league. And maybe there was a time there where it felt like maybe Mahomes was a little bit more, he was more of the MVP than Jokic, but Jokic might be the most MVP right now of any team. And again, some of the soccer guys, I don't really know. But all the stars are really out right now, chat. Ben Stiller, Tracy Morgan, and Spike Lee. Are those guys? I think those guys are Knicks fans. Roger Goodell is at the game. Raj pulling up to a star-studded NBA game, 76-76 with 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter. But they might just be Knicks fans. Ben Stiller might be a full-time Knicks fan. Is he doing like Apple TV stuff now? I think maybe that's why we're not fully locked in on the Ben Stiller career. We'll branch over into the Apple TV universe and the TV shows at some point. But again, with the way Jokic has been playing lately, the MVP storylines, it's not safe for Shea if he doesn't necessarily have, and I'm not saying a Shea awesome game, but he needs an awesome game. Again, 21 in the first half. If he finishes this game with like 32 points and they win the game, maybe the first half was awesome enough to be like, yeah, this is the reminder we need for how great Shea is. But I feel like he does need one last truly, like, here, should we go to the stat sheet? Make no mistake, it's Shea. He's going to prove us wrong. He's going to have 40 points like 2 nights ago. He could be operating a little bit in that scoring level. Like, Jokic, obviously, it's a full game thing that he's doing that is just neutralizing us, or neutering us to what great stats look like. But we could be getting a little neutered to Shea's scoring output as well, too. So I don't want to say, like, when was the last time, he put up 40 plus in a game or blah, blah, blah. But let's just check real quick and see, because he still is having these high level scoring performances, 30 plus night to night, chat. Oh, I'm still seeing 40s. I'm still seeing 40s in here. Okay. So it has, and again, we're talking about the highest level of scoring. We're talking about unrealistic expectations that you cross over into when you become a player of this status. But it has been, and again, the nitpickiest of picks, chat, but 10 games since he put up 40 points, like, is that something that can sway the MVP vote? It's like he had a 10-game stretch at the end of the year without 40 points. He's 29 points a game down the stretch here, 46% from the field. So you do see the efficiency drop off. And again, you look at the run before this, Chad. He has 48, he has 40, he has a 41, he has a 51. So this would have been that peak Shea time. And, we don't want to be prisoners of the moments. But in these moments where he was putting up these games is when we were still talking about Jokic putting up these numbers. So if we go even the 10 games before this, I don't want to discount Shea. He's, 36 a game, Chad. 56% from the field. 45% from 3, and he's on 6.5 a game, 6.5 attempts. So, I mean, make no mistake, the man is putting up elite scoring numbers, 6.5 assists, nah. 5 rebounds, nah. We're talking about Jokic here. We need to look up the Jokic numbers, but again, the Thunder were 8-2 on that stretch, and I mean, look at all their wins. We can go through any stretch of the season, just wins. They've literally lost 2 games in a row one time, and it was in November. Is that true? The last time they lost back-to-back games was in November, chat? Oh! Up until the last couple of games. Houston and LA. And Shea, again, like, this is real prisoner of the moment stuff, because it's back to... That's really what it is, chat. It's the first time they lost back-to-back games since November. And Shea has put up, 22 and 26 instead of his normal 51 and 41. But I feel like we're being consistent for us anyways, because we've been Jokic people the whole time here and have always. And I still don't really know who, again, like if Shea is awesome here, even like if Shea puts up 45 tonight and 45 in the next couple of nights and the Thunder get to 68 wins here to end the year, 67 wins, then it's still a tough debate, chat. But again, I guess for us, it's like Jokic is just in pole position. So we have to actually see what the total package is for everybody else, to actually put them above Jokic. Because Jokic is still, if Jokic was injured, obviously, and it's like, okay, Jokic is out, and there's no other kid, there's really nobody else. It's really just Shea and Jokic, and that's a compliment to Shea. It's a compliment to Jokic as well, too, but obviously he's more solidified in that conversation. But for Shea to be just so, like, in a tier by himself with Jokic, who is already, like we're saying, maybe a top 25 player in NBA history, is a testament to the path that he's on. But as of right now, in the path, and the status, like we're saying, that Shea already has, but as of right now, Jokic is still that guy. So we just need to see the full Thunder resume. Literally, he literally needs every piece of the resume, in my mind, to get past Jokic for MVP. It's just, Jokic is just that good. And I know the all-time MVP stuff, how we want to start divvying those out, but it's just, Jokic is in that territory, Chad. And maybe this is not the Nuggets season for it. Again, they just fired their head coach as well, too. So can you give somebody the MVP that just fired their head coach? That's probably... did the Nuggets just should we have mentioned that as well, too, for storylines, chat? That might even be the biggest storyline of this whole thing, is the Nuggets just neutralizing Michael Malone, or neutralizing Jokic winning the MVP by firing Michael Malone. Unfortunately, I don't, and maybe there is some early season version of it where you get the interim and then he, like in that Ty Lue situation, obviously LeBron didn't win the MVP that year, but maybe there's a situation like that we're not thinking of. Like, did Magic win an MVP one year when they like fired Westfall or something? I think they might have done that on offseason. I don't know the full timeline. Or like Jordan, did they make an in-season move for Doug Collins one of those years and then he won an MVP? Like, again, I don't remember the full timeline of it, but that type of thing usually doesn't mean that Jokic is going to get that award. So again, with the Thunder season, it makes sense that it should be Shea. And this is an MVP against a Lakers team that we know is competitive in the greater playoff picture. We just saw him have, again, a dominant performance against the Thunder. So it makes total sense, and it's totally appropriate for Shea to actually get the award. But I'm just saying, I still feel like I want to see what the Jokic, the winning resume over Jokic looks like first before I just start handing it out to Shea. It's hallowed ground that Shea is working with jumping on Jokic. But the Magic are up 110-99, and unfortunately we're still watching this Knicks Cavs game a little bit more than that game. So it's just what it is, chat. We have to keep our journalistic integrity up. We are watching Reece Shea. We gave him a chance. We're still fans, and we still love what we're seeing. But we just have to go. And I guess it's still not officially started yet. The ESPN, I guess, is in front of the League Pass and the Sling TVs and all that stuff. So we may have ourselves a couple of minutes as well, too. Uh-oh, chat. Oh, wait. End of the second quarter. Are we in go time? Oh, are we playing? See, I knew it was about to start. I figured. Okay. They talked us into it, chat. If we have to make this, we may have to play a little streaming service roulette here and get these games going, because the one streaming service won't let us log in because you need to watch the game on TV here, but then that means we won't be able to watch that game, so we need to go fire it up on that streaming service. So we'll just need to make sure that we get everything correct. I guess the easiest thing to do would just be to switch this one over already. Oh wait, it's not. I thought Lakers Thunder was on NBA TV. It's not, chat. Okay, I guess that makes sense. They wouldn't be doing a TNT and an NBA TV. What was I thinking, chat? A double national TV broadcast? How dare they? How dare they just randomly slap a game on NBA TV, like Lakers versus Thunder? But they do have crunch time going, so shout out. I think that's like their little red zone coverage. I shouldn't call it their little red zone coverage. Be disrespectful, chat. I think it's their red zone style whip around coverage. Uh-oh. I'm switching TVs. I don't even know which TV I'm in control of. This is the problem of the multi-TV setup now. I have them all numbered, but, you just never remember which number is which one, so we're switching on to apps. We don't even know what's what. But I guess we got the other one switched around. We don't. Okay, we're playing roulette, and we don't even need to be playing roulette, but we're winning, and we're not even calling the right numbers. I don't even know how to play roulette, chat, and we're still winning. I don't know. I guess we're like Demi Moore and Ghost, or not Ghost. What am I thinking of? Indecent Proposal, chat. Which movie is Demi Moore playing roulette in? Maybe a couple of them, but I think I'm thinking of Indecent Proposal. But 74-80 here. Okay. And I guess even the fourth quarter off the but Luka, LeBron, primetime, Jackson Hayes closing out on Chet. Right away, we got Chet jacking up threes. Pause. We got Jackson Hayes flying in for block shots and fouling people. I mean, chat, it's checking all the boxes right away of what we'd expect from a Lakers Thunder matchup. He didn't get all ball. Oh, he could have, though. He could have. He was flying in, and I guess maybe the angle makes it look a little bit more favorable. Are they challenging? Okay, he didn't tip the ball. So if he tips the ball, then is it like a pass interference rule, where you can make a little contact or whatever? But Are they just challenging that he didn't touch him in general? And then does Chet get the technical for flopping on the other end? Who knows if it becomes a double whammy? So maybe that becomes the point of challenging that type of play call as well, too, because not Chet did something, but you just get a technical for flopping now. So if Chet flopped on top of that, they didn't call it because Hayes obviously made contact. They called it because Chet went to the ground. And they went, oh no, poor skinny little Chet crumpling to the ground. It's got to be because he got fouled. So we'll see what the result of that one is after the timeout, chat. But Boston now up 6 here as we start the fourth quarter. Hopefully, Tibbs' guys still have the legs. Brunson, of course, Knicks fans were happy that he could just get a break and then get back healthy, of course, with the injury. But it's like, hey, okay, at least he gets a rest. Yes, the man may have tore 7 ligaments in his knee or whatever, rolled 7 ankles, but he's going to get some break. He's going to get a minute to not play some games, some time off for Brunson. Some much-needed PTO, chat. Again, we're just against the aggressive. We're not against PTO. The guys that do go out there and play 82 games, like it's a cool thing. Like, if we got an 82 game schedule, if you're somewhere in that in the league minimum for awards is 65 games. So it's like, if you're playing 70 plus games a season, it's like, hey, that's cool, man. That's 12 games off a year, man. I don't know. What do you get at McDonald's? What do you get at Sonic? I feel like the NBA just needs to call Sonic and say how many, part-time job, chat. You're probably not getting PTO over at Sonic. Maybe assistant manager. I guess we've never ascended over to assistant management role like that, or GM level roles at a fast food joint where you may get PTO. But they just need to start calling low-level corporate. They just need to start calling us low-level corporate people and be like, hey, what kind of PTO you getting? 2 weeks, 14 days, 12 games, 12 days. And again, that's in season too. That's not for that's for an NBA year. That's not for a calendar year. You're getting 12 days off, games off, plus the days off in between, plus the months off in between the season, chat. It sounds good to me. I feel like they just need to work that in the contract? Like, maybe it's just as simple as that, chat. And I get there's collective bargaining for all that stuff, but they just need to go, hey, if you're in the NBA, the minimum you got to play is 65 games. It's not even for awards. You're just playing 65 games, or they're starting to work around the injury stuff for awards as well too. You start just saying finger tendonitis. Mitchell Robinson just took a tumble. He's not going to be in award conversation for games played anyways, but he'll probably miss the next 6 games after falling to the ground there. He did walk off fine, but who knows if we'll see him again. Porzingis the 3, chat. Oh! Was that Campaign on the closeout? Oh no, that was Bridges, chat. Campaign and Bridges. Kind of similar, honestly. Campaigns. Has he ever been called smaller Bridges? Pause. I feel like there's similar dimensions for their builds. Wingspan proportions. IT, do a quick wingspan to height ratio check for Bridges and Campaign. We could find some similarities. Definitely between the two. But I think the Lakers even, and I get, ultimately you're going to want them getting wins here in the playoffs. So them being close in regular season games against the Thunder is, does that translate them to actually winning playoff games? But I think there is something about them being like, okay, solidifying themselves as a matchup for this team. And I think you look at the size of the Lakers, and like we were saying in that Sunday game, the way Luka is able to attack this team one-on-one, and his size matchup, again, is a issue for the defenders that they have out there. That matchup is a problem, but the constant competitiveness now with him in that Lakers lineup, it's not just, because the Thunder, like we're saying, the Thunder are also playing well as the Lakers. We mentioned that box score with all those guys being like double digits in the first half, but the Thunder obviously with 80 points, and I guess we mentioned their box score as well too. So you're definitely getting a top tier Dort game in the first half. He's 5 for 6 from 3. He's 5 for 7 now, I guess, in the game. Case and Wallace 2 for 3 from the field. The bench isn't really taking a ton of threes. Isaiah Joe 1 for 1. Oh, Wiggins is 0 for 3 so far. So I guess Wiggins and Dort being 5 for 10 combined is, 50% between the two of them is what you'll ask for. So maybe Wiggins being on the low end of it and Dort being on the high end of it kind of balances out the wing performance from the team. So you're getting a good version of this OKC team, and the Thunder are still, or the Lakers are still, like we're saying, maybe down double digits there for a little bit, but now in that 5 to 6 point range, and also showed that they can go out and have a great 3-point shooting night and have a hot game against the Thunder as well too, and or any playoff team, and have that kind of performance. So here we go, chat. LeBron, he attacks Hartenstein, and Hartenstein can't do anything about it. LeBron on the pick and roll. He's unstoppable, chat. The Thunder, how do you contain him? Oh no, Shea. And it's Reeves on Shea. How did this matchup happen? I mean, Shea gave it up, so it's a win. Hartenstein in the middle is going to be a problem, though. And of course, the center depth for the Lakers is going to be the main probably thing that the team is going to have to keep their fingers crossed for this playoff run. But I mean, also just defensively as well too against the Thunder, some of that guard depth like we were saying. So if you can get away with Reeves minutes, and LeBron, the 3-pointer, it's his third quarter heat check, chat. It's his time in the game, I guess. Shea not able to match on the other end. So here we go, chat. The Nuggets, do they play later? Do they play tomorrow? They didn't play yesterday in that little 4-game slate. So Jokic, the league is just like Jokic earned himself a 2-day break here. They play the Kings tomorrow night in Sacramento. So Thunder Suns, Thunder on the back-to-back. Oh, that's not the ESPN game. Oh, that might be the ESPN game. Kings versus Nuggets, ESPN nighttime. Sabonis on defense. Jokic could easily go for 40, 20, and 20 tomorrow. We could easily see that. And if he does that after Shea, maybe like a, not a bad second half, but 11 points second half. And that still puts him at, 32, 33 for the 30. It would have been 21 in the first half, right? So 32 for the game. It still gives him a good total, but he needs that one. He needs another MVP performance, chat. Just give us one more MVP performance to end the year. And what is even the opportunities left to do that? And I guess, we're already forgetting the fact that we said earlier that but just in theory, chat, if any player could win the MVP, again, it's not Jokic's fault that Malone got fired in a way. I don't think we would, because you could look at other situations in the past and go, okay, the team is still achieving, but are there factors where the best players, we're watching this Lakers Thunder game in the background. Is there situations where the best players have maybe led to coaching moves happening? And again, maybe the news will come out. Maybe Windhorst was on the reporting earlier saying that Jokic and, chat, maybe Jokic's brothers were in on it. Who knows what they were telling the front office. You get Jokic's brothers lined up to maybe the only people that could make, is it Stan or Walter Kroenke? Who's the Kroenke that runs the Nuggets, chat? Maybe the only people that could make the Kroenkes make a move at this point would be Jokic's brothers just walking up to the desk. But, I guess we were not actually looking for what the Nuggets would do. But again, the Nuggets, or with their expectations, doesn't really matter who the opponent is. If Jokic just has a good stats game, it's a good stats game at this point. And that is the benefit, I guess, he does have in the perception standpoint. Oh, chat, the win shares have Gary Payton over Kevin Durant? All-time stuff? Interesting. I wonder if the legacy of, and I get that's the Seattle to OKC thing, so if you get, would the OKC fans relate to, would they claim Gary Payton in the same way? I mean, we just have to ask chat. DM us at REMINGTOM. Let us know. We could ask Billy Buckets, but again, that's not even a reliable source because Billy Buckets wasn't around for the Gary Payton run. But I guess as a next generation, maybe it is a reliable source, chat. Maybe that is what we want to know. That's a good OKC, because the ones that would be the crossover, are there crossover fans? I mean, there has to be, but I feel like, and you're just gonna not be a fan of a team now that Seattle doesn't have one, or you just be a rogue NBA fan rooting for players, maybe it would be a fun life. Maybe you have a free opportunity to just a get out of jail free card to just cheer for whichever players you want, and you could have speaking of first team all Rem and Sam, you could have a first team all, Bob of just guys that Bob likes to watch games, or whoever, chat. I don't even want to start naming more names because, who knows what the name game's up to at this point, but it could be person X, and I guess that could be one of Elon's kids at this point, chat. Person A, I mean, that who even knows? But we need to do a family check and see what all of his kids' names are, chat. I don't think we just start pulling up Elon's family like that. But just what letters in the alphabet are left as non-names that we can say out there? But person whatever for what are we even talking about, chat? Fans for whoever. Oh well. Yeah, Shea, this team. What games do the Thunder have left to prove for Shea to prove that he's the MVP of the league? 64 wins is not enough, I guess, in our minds. Hey, Jokic has earned himself quite the status as an all-time player. So they've got this game against the Lakers, then Phoenix, Utah, New Orleans. So this is really their last big opponent, chat. Pause. To face off. Lakers down by 2. We're already giving them the lead. Down by 2. The second half comeback. Is it possible? Reeves kind of holding his own on some of these drives here. Jalen Williams. Oh, Jalen Williams just got it moving there, though. It was more Reeves on the closeout, sort of overcommitting, and Jalen Williams passing by him. But when Reeves has his feet set and he's been able to just kind of shuffle laterally and stay in front, the players have made passes out of that. So you got to give him credit for at least making the person give the ball up. But Hardenstein's 4 for 4 right now in the middle. He's been getting a lot more looks here in the third, and he's got 10 rebounds as well too. So that, like we're saying, I don't know how you continue to not expose that. Is Chet in the game? I don't think Chet is necessarily a matchup weakness against the Lakers, but with the size that the Lakers do have. So what do we got right now? Hardenstein, Kendrick Williams, Dort, Jalen Williams, and Shea. So it is essentially those starters for Kendrick Williams for Chet. And I don't know what the foul situation was here either, chat. If Chet was working with, a couple more than he should have at this point in the game. Yeah, he's got 3 fouls, so he probably is not going to be playing anyways. But Shea's at 3 as well, too. So the Lakers' physicality definitely giving the Thunder problems as well. But just in theory, and Chet is a good defender, too, so you can't even make the defensive point, obviously. But Chet as a help side defender versus him versus LeBron in the same way maybe Kendrick Williams can. And, switching Chet onto Luka. And maybe Kendrick Williams is a better defensive matchup for Luka. And if Kendrick Williams is going to space the floor in the same way, now you have shooters out on the perimeter. You've got Hardenstein working in the middle against a weak Lakers interior. Maybe there is something to that lineup, chat. I don't know if it's going to be the closing lineup for him here in the fourth. But maybe there is something to just sneak in this line. The starters, but like, hey, we're switching Chet for Kendrick, and we're just going to try to defense this out for a little bit in a different type of way, Dort not able to get that 3 to go. So that he's going to have the confidence of his first half shooting streak, but unfortunately those percentages are probably going to come back down to earth a little bit. But Finney Smith had a good shooting half as well too. Pause, and he just missed that 3-pointer as well. So, I mean, I guess everybody in general, are they going to score? Is it going to be 160 to 154? I mean, it very well could be. But with the defense, the Thunder's defense, they're not going to give 154 points to the Lakers. If they do, even if the Lakers give up 160, if the Lakers put up 154 on the Thunder, I guess giving up 160 is a problem that we'd have to look into. We would have to scratch our head about the Lakers defense at that point. But putting up 154 on this historic Thunder defense would be quite the accomplishment. So Chet is now in the game for Hardenstein with Kendrick Williams. So yeah, Chet, so that would be the counter then. That's good move by Dagnall. Good thinking. You can keep Kendrick Williams in the game, but then, switch out your centers. So Chet in the 5. Obviously, if he's in the middle, giving you that little hook shot paint stuff on offense, you're going to feel just as confident about that. I guess the problem is going to be rebounding because Hartenstein was a monster on the glass, like we were saying. Luka from 3 as well, too. It's an interesting thing to keep in mind, chat. And Shea, okay, they just got Shea off the ball here on this possession, starting with Williams. So they're inevitably going to move Chet out to the perimeter, and here he's going to try to create on Reeves. He's got the one-on-one opportunity. It's Vanderbilt with the help defense. And the SWAT. And the Lakers have the lead on that Luka 3, I should mention. It's 88-86, and Luka not able to draw a foul on the other end. We got to get some volume here, chat. What happened to our speaker? I guess we're moving around looking at box scores. Okay, I don't know if... Wait, was that foul or out of bounds? Oh, I think they're going to get out of bounds, and I think it's going to be on Vanderbilt. So we'll get Thunder ball. And Boston, sorry Boston, but I guess this Lakers-Thunder game is just more... It's not even a more... Well, I guess they almost have as many points in the third as Boston, New York does in the fourth, but... You know, in terms of high-level basketball, both of these teams... Are the Knicks the fourth team here, potentially? I think that... Are the Knicks better than the Lakers? Chat! Who's better right now, the Knicks or the Lakers? Obviously, Luka and LeBron versus Brunson and Towns. You know, it's a tough matchup, chat. Peak Towns this year has obviously been really great, but even peak Towns, I mean, you know, then we're talking... If we're talking players at their peak. Peak Towns versus peak LeBron. If we're talking seconds versus seconds. And then peak Luka versus peak Brunson. Again, it's close matchups, but you'd have to give the edge to the Lakers. And then as a third man, like we're seeing tonight, Reeves versus Mikal Bridges in a, you know, cross-conference third man matchup is really interesting to watch as well, too. Let's see what Bridges was at for stats tonight. Brunson driving on Porzingis gets the foul. So Knicks are down 7 with 4:45 left. So Bridges 4 for 13, 2 for 6 for 10, for 3, 10 points. So again, he was playing really well without Brunson, and it would be weird to say that there would be fit problems with him and Brunson because again, they literally played together at Villanova. They won the national title together. I don't know why him and his role on this team, especially, you know, you still, I think Towns compared to Amari Spellman, like there's still some similarities stylistically there. Towns is obviously, you know, and the way it translates into the NBA, even I think a higher level player as an NBA player than Spellman was as a college player, but still like as a floor spacer and 3-point shooting big man still can give you a lot of the same stuff. So I don't know why there would be fit problems on his team. And he's still 50% from the field this year as well, too. So 35% from 3 on the season is... And it's not really fit issues. It's him, you know, sometimes not necessarily just making his looks either. But still, why is he not necessarily comfortable in all of his looks when Bridges is on the court? So, yeah, look at this, chat. To end March, at least those last 4 games, he had 20 points in 4 of the last 5 there. So what do we go, like last 2 weeks of March, he was, 10 games, 23 points a game, 53% from the field, 38% from 3, and they were 6 and 4 in that stretch, but again, without Brunson. And then in the last 4 games, was 20 in back-to-back games, 2 for 3 from 3 in both those games, though, so you see just the 3-point shooting in general so much lower. And yes, his shots are going to go down, but to go to 3 threes, and do you want him to just be in the corner as like a 3-point shooter as well too? I get you want him to have some diversity in his game, but there's no reason I don't think that Bridges couldn't be a 5 to 6 3-point shooter per game. You know, 3.3 threes per game in the last 4 games. And I get 3 and 1 in that stretch. Brunson being back has really helped him power through some of these wins. But there's no reason that he can't be shooting 6 or 7. You know, I guess we were saying 5 or 6, but I could even see 6 or 7 potentially as well. And that could be the lineups narrowing down. That could be, you know, him even taking more shots away from a guy like Hart in the playoffs as well too. And it like really just, and even Anunoby, and it just really becomes those 3 guys. But Anunoby, I think could take if he's taken 5 and Bridges is taken 6 and Brunson is taken 5, like, Steph's going to take his 8 to 10, and it's like not everybody in the league can take 8 to 10 3-pointers in the game. Like 5 to 6 is, I think, a reasonable amount for a lot of guys taking. Like, what are they at for the season here in just 3-point attempts? And the Lakers are at 93 to 9. So I guess we were saying they need to put up 154 to have an impressive performance, but not really, chat. They're going to be at 100 points through 3 quarters again in back-to-back games against the Oklahoma City Thunder's defense. We can go look up the Thunder's defensive stats. It doesn't matter. They're the best defensive team in the league, and their defense is, yes, there maybe is, again, some matchup, some night-to-night effort stuff, some just lineup depth stuff that works for the regular season, but their defense this year is just statistically awesome and statistically in the upper levels. And what LA is able to do to it on a consistent basis now with this Doncic-LeBron combo is, I think, turning into a scary, scary thing now for Thunder fans. And again, I think in that Shea thing as well too, like for winning 64 games, I think for that to matter for the MVP, and maybe I'm just making rules up here as we go, Chad. It definitely could be. But does there need to be an inevitability to a team that wins that many games? Like, I guess we're looking up too many stats here at one time, chat. It is what it is. But here, let's go. Okay, wait. Let's real quick go to the 3-point spread for the Knicks, and it does look like, okay, they are pretty even. But again, is that Bridges balancing it out with some of the non-Brunson performances? Hard at 3 a game, Anunoby at 6.2, Brunson at 6, Towns at 4.8. McBride's at 4.7 in 60 games played. In the playoffs, is McBride going to be taking 4? He might be, honestly. McBride's their 6th man. Achua, DeLon Wright, can't be. Yeah, McBride's going to be taking 6 threes a game in the playoffs. Who knows? But can we go? Do they have just a quick team wins page here? Because I think Shea is clearly a level up from where Booker was playing in that season. Well, here, actually, let's just look at that real quick. Again, too many stats at one time, but let's look at Booker quickly on that Suns team, because, I mean, that Suns team even made the finals as well, too. Again, there was some matchup injury stuff that definitely went in their favor in the playoffs. But that team was the best team in the regular season and had a lot of similar things to this Thunder team, for Booker anyways, I think, compared to Shea, if we were doing those storylines. So he did finish 4th in MVP voting that year. He was, again, Shea's like the scoring is a level up. So yeah, I guess his number, 50% from the field, Shea's 30+ points a game. Booker's 46% from the field that year. 26 points a game. In the playoffs that year, wait, am I looking at the right season, chat? 2020. He wasn't in MVP voting that year? I mean, see, that's just ridiculous. 48% from the field, 25 a game. It doesn't even matter. And I get that there was some stuff with him and Paul, like what's the value on each team? Okay, am I getting the seasons mixed up, chat? The 60-win season was not the year that they made the finals. Okay, so they made the finals the year they won 51 games, and then they won 64 games, and then lost to the Mavs that year. Okay. I'm getting those two. I was thinking that the year that they won the 64 games was the year that they made the finals. But I guess, we're talking about the regular season anyways, so that doesn't really, that part of it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, so, that 64-win season for Devin Booker, he was 4th in MVP voting, and I guess the year they made the finals, he was a little bit better from the percentages and stuff as well too. So I guess I would have thought that maybe, I guess I'm also thinking he would have been the 48% the year they won 64 games, but I guess not, chat. So anyways, shout out to Booker, but yeah, for Shea to what were we saying about Shea, chat? Or for the Thunder to have that inevitability factor, it did feel like they have it a little bit. And again, maybe this Lakers team is that one matchup, but maybe there's a couple other teams out there as well too. And again, the Nuggets may be not able to put the full team around Jokic, but Jokic is of course a problem. So I guess that's the comparison we're going to make to that Suns team is, again, as a 64-win Suns team, did they feel inevitable in the same way? They obviously felt awesome, and they did. Obviously, they lost. And even if I was thinking of them losing the finals, they didn't win the finals regardless. So, do we remember them with that inevitability factor, knowing the fact that they didn't get there? Who knows? But in the moment, they weren't obviously the Warriors of the day, or I'm sure, like the Cavs won again, like we were brought up earlier. They won 60 games with LeBron. That's here. Let's just look up 60-win NBA teams real fast. Sorry that I don't have the list just memorized off the top, but this will definitely help. So yeah, of course the Bulls. I guess, and I was thinking too strictly to 60, but like the Bulls, obviously, you win 70 games. That's a different level team. Shea's obviously the MVP of the league at this point. Like even me, if Shea is gonna win 72, 73 games, then I don't know how that's not the MVP over even what Jokic has done this year. But like we're saying, it's just that's to say what to repeat myself again. I need to see the full resume. Okay, timeout real quick, chat. Back to the game. Knicks versus Celtics. Okay, on the Sling TV, I guess Tatum just got fouled, so he hasn't made these free throws yet. It's 102 to 105. And yeah, he's got 2 free throws here on the ESPN score, so they're doing the review right now for Foot on the Line. Are we behind on the stream? Pause. Can we catch up here real quick? An end of the third for Lakers versus Thunder, 98 to 97. The Lakers storm back from that 10-point halftime deficit to take the lead at the end of third. What a quarter, chat. What a quarter. What a night. The NBA is back. The NBA is back. As much as we love college, chat, this is what I've been waiting for. We got the 2 TV upgrade over the March Madness period, and it's perfect for March Madness to have all the games going at the one time. It was great, and to be able to keep the NBA games that were going on in the background as well too at the same time. But this is the perfect type of night that I had envisioned, chat. Just multiple high-level NBA games. Just like, oh, there's so much basketball. What is happening? The Knicks and Boston are in a 1-point game, and this could be an Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and the Thunder and the Lakers are on one TV, and it's the fun of the regular season as well too, because the playoffs, I guess knowing the stakes is fun, but just the fun of the random, and it's not random to have Boston and the Knicks in a good regular season matchup, but again, and maybe that's where we're at in 2025 as well too, where good regular season games feel more rare and they're more precious. But just that high level, oh, it's a random Thursday night, there's no playoffs, there's no nothing, and I guess it's Tuesday night, but random NBA night of action, and you're gonna get high level games, and you can watch multiple at the same time. 2025, a couple things, chat, we're doing right in 2025. Multiple NBA games on in the background might be one of them. But okay, chat, sorry, we just had to have a basketball gasm there. I guess is what it is. It's just clutch basketball. I guess it'll do it to you. And again, as much as you love college and as much as we love this Final Four that just happened as well too, like we were saying, it was one of the best Final Fours that we've seen. I mean, I'm getting more excited over just a couple of regular season games. But Minnesota, poor Milwaukee, chat. Michael Malone, here he comes to save the day. If anything will talk Giannis into staying, I'm sure it's Michael Malone as a head coach. Giannis with 13, 5 for 10, 13, 8, and 8. So I say and Giannis is going to have a triple-double. And, I mean, it could be more of the Timberwolves front line and the way they're playing right now than the way Giannis is playing. But something in my mind about seeing a box, like if the scoring starts to drop and something starts to happen with some of the Giannis box score stuff, and I guess looking at the score as well too, I guess that was on the court we were looking at, so they haven't necessarily pulled the starters yet. Giannis is still out there, and he's +3 in the game. Giannis is +3, and the Milwaukee Bucks are down 14 points with 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, I want Giannis to be remembered favorably in history. So, chat, we got to pay attention. Josh Hart is cutting to the rim. It's a 3-point game. Knicks up 3 with 12 seconds left. Tatum, here we go. Is this the last shot? He's got Anunoby on him. Whoa, a step back, lethal. He's got space. Bang! Mike Breen's not here to do it, chat. Oh, a lethal step back. That was like the off foot, chat. A lot of times you kind of, I guess you would hit that with the opposite foot of the dribble, but that was, I guess it was opposite foot, but going to the opposite hand anyways. I guess a lot of times if you're that righty going left, or that lefty going right, but that righty step back going right, chat, and he lost Anunoby on that. Anunoby, I mean, he recovered, he was right there, but plenty of space to get that 3 off. You could tell just from the space that he generated that he was going to make that shot. So do they have, I guess we got to go back. They have the Knicks have 3 seconds to potentially do something. But anyways, Chad, if that doesn't tell you what you need to know about the Bucks season, I guess what I was saying is I want Giannis to be remembered favorably in history, and the obvious legacy points that you get for staying with the franchise that's some of the biggest legacy boost you can get, Chad. But at this point, what do you do? What do you do? And the NBA salary cap is messed it up. So maybe it messes it up where it's pointless for him to be requesting trades and trying to get to these other teams. But that's like where we're at with LeBron in some of these eras where you're looking at, he's +5. He's literally in the game right now. They're winning when he's on the court as we're talking. But look at this. We take him off the court and the team is double-digit worse. And, I was going to say they have dealt with some injuries, but really it's kind of just Dame. And it's not just Dame. He's their second best player and still very important to this team. But still, to lose one guy and for everybody to be 50 points worse. Okay, chat, 3 seconds left. Hart's going to have to get the inbound back to Bridges. No, he doesn't get it back to Bridges. Hart has to take the 3 himself, and it's no good. So overtime for Knicks Celtics. I don't know how Brunson doesn't get the inbound opportunity there. They were trying to run just, I think, the handoff Hart back to Bridges, but the Celtics read that right away. The Celtics are going to switch anything anyway, so they're going to be kind of like whoever the defender is with 3 seconds left, the defender's probably not going to be able to just catch and shoot off of that. Like Bridges is going to have to be able to separate, and because Bridges is not going to be able to separate, Hart felt like I guess he's going to be able to separate better than Bridges. But again, he had the turn going to his left, so he could kind of pull up there, and he did have some space to hit that shot, fading to his left a little bit. Off balance, not the easiest 3 in the world, but definitely could have made that there. So 9 minutes left. OKC versus the Lakers. OKC back up by 1. It's Case and Wallace taking Dalton Connect to the rim. So we look over and immediately they're just attacking Dalton Connect. Maybe there's a pattern there, chat. Oh, Milwaukee's storming back. Giannis, he's +11. He's literally single-handedly swinging this game like the complete opposite direction. Look at the worst player is minus, shout out Brooke Lopez, but -8. I'm not saying worst player on the team, but tonight, worst player plus-minus wise, -18 in the game. Giannis is +11. It's literally, we could do the plus-minus for Jokic, and it's historic, and I get that Giannis is maybe even working with less of a supporting cast than Jokic, so that drop-off is more dramatic. But again, that's just to prove the point, chat, where I'm not saying that I'm actually going to, the MVP conversation is Giannis and Shea, or Giannis and Shea. It is Jokic and Shea at this point, but the individual player rankings in the league, chat, this is another full resume thing we have to see for, where would we physically rank Shea and Giannis in the player rankings? And the Shea plus-minus stuff is sneaky just as good as all these guys as well, too, for as good as the rest of the Thunder roster is compared to, the rest of the roster versus star player, obviously one of the best in the league. But Giannis literally being 27 points better tonight versus Minnesota when they're on the court versus when the other lineups are on the court is crazy. And storming back to the point that this game is now interesting. The fourth quarter, it's 17-5. We're watching this box score. We're watching games, chat. This is crazy. Giannis is 18, 9, and 8. I mean, Giannis is just going to turn around all of a sudden and have a 30, 10, and 15. And like we were saying, that's going to be good for that box score. Because if he starts finishing these games with like, oh, wait a second, Giannis is putting up 18, 6, and 6. I mean, great numbers. You know, you'll take a player any day that's putting up 18, 6, and 6. You'll love to have those stats. But from Giannis, at this point in his career, you're like, oh, that's a trade income. And so I guess we're still 4 games left in the season. Giannis is not going to slow down. Giannis is still going to be the monstrous player that he is. But that would definitely be red flag alert. That'd be A+ red flag alert for NBA Watch. So here we go, chat. Start of overtime. Boston wins the tip. Bridges gets the Tatum assignment to start. Oh, the Tatum ISO, chat. Goes to that step back on the mid-range baseline. Doesn't get the same results as that three-pointer, but, you know, took a lot longer to get into that look. Kind of killed the offensive momentum there, unfortunately. But, you know, feeling it as well, too, so he's got to get the liberty. He got to get out of his system, at least early in the playoffs. And great defense by Boston to get the turnover right away. And no Brown tonight as well, we should mention, too. So, I mean, maybe that even makes the Knicks fans feel worse about just getting into overtime is once Jaylen Brown gets out here on the court, are they in a different level of basketball as well? Because, I mean, obviously they are. The Celtics are. But, and Jaylen, I'm tweaking, chat. There's so much basketball going on. I'm like, Jaylen Brown has played. He is out there. But has he played in a minute? How many minutes is he at? I guess we have audio off on that TV we switched it over onto. So, and since we keep bouncing around, we keep losing audio for the other main games. But where is he at? Oh, we did switch audio over. Okay, we'll just leave it on for Knicks versus Celtics. 3:50 left. They're in crunch time. Which game will end first, chat? Knicks, Celtics, or Lakers, Thunder? Do we get double overtime for Knicks, Celtics? Nobody scored here so far. Oh, it's Cornette on the fast break opportunity. I think Hart fouled him before. Cornette shoveled it to Derek White, but I think Harnett fouled him before he was able to get that off. So that's that old school. See, Josh Hart's one of those old school players, chat. He'll foul you where you don't make the shot. He's going to wrap up, tackle. Is this flagrant? Reggie Miller doesn't like it, but if you're going to foul, make sure he doesn't take the shot. Oh, they completely lose Hauser on the inbound, chat. The Knicks caught sleeping. Tibbs is disgusted. Oh, no, chat. The first mental lapse of the quarter. Of the period, anyways. But yeah, where was Brown at for minutes? So yeah, Brown at 22 minutes, 3 fouls. I guess, did he tweak something? Hopefully he's okay. But I guess either way, to go this stretch of the game without Brown and to not being able to close it out, you know, you'd think that'd be able to at least give you a little bit more of advantage. I don't know how Knicks fans feel if Boston ends up winning it with that result. But, you know, you have Derek White out there. You have Hauser. Cornette and Holiday? This is the lineup? What happened to Zinger? Is Zinger just not in right now as well, too? I guess they just like the Cornette matchup. Cornette +6 tonight. Porzingis 0. There we go, chat. Cornette making Towns work. Shout out. But Tatum getting to the line. It's just a Tatum takeover right now in the quarter. In the period. In the overtime. Whatever you call it. And it was Tatum on the inbound to Hauser as well, too. So Tatum is just conducting everything. Action Bronson? Courtside? Action Bronson could probably step in and coach the Knicks. Action Bronson yelling ice? I mean, if you just programmed Action Bronson to say things like Thibodeau, I mean, I think it could make a lot of sense, chat. Coach Action Bronson. Do we need to do a who needs to be the next head coach of the Nuggets? Action Bronson. Next head coach of the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic. If we can get somebody to relate to Nikola Jokic, could it be Action Bronson, chat? Hey, yo. Shout out. We're pro Action Johnson. Pro Action Johnson? Hey, yo. Action Bronson. Marvelous beat selector, chat. I mean, you know, you're working with Alchemist a lot, so not going to go wrong there. But Anunoby airballing the 3. Yikes. Knicks still to score. Did they get... There was a foul called on the rebound there. And they have all 5 of their guys with 35 or more minutes played tonight. Hart and Towns with 40. Anunoby's at 39 and Brunson's at 36. Just immediately off injury. He's going to play 40 minutes in an overtime game. And 3 of your guys are going to go 40. So, there's 4 games in the regular season. It's playoff time, but it's not like this is the first game that these guys have been out there a couple extra 2 minutes. So it's more like this game plus the fact that they've had all the extra minutes in the season. So I guess NBA TV is firing up for game time, chat. Golden State versus Phoenix. I guess, hey, we're here to let you know. We'll do the networking announcing, I guess, for Warner. But NBA TV's got Warriors versus Suns now to start. But let's be honest. By the time we even get to that game, it's probably going to be over. I mean, yeah, there we go. Golden State. I mean, there's 11-16 left, so they scored on their first possession in the first quarter. It's 3-0 right away. Is Booker even playing tonight, chat? Did Butler and Steph get out there and it's like, hey, wait, where's Booker? Coach, can I just go to the bench? Booker's not even out there. Okay, Knicks get a free throw. There we go, 108-110. And Zinger back in the game. Great minutes by Cornette, chat. The energy from Cornette on the fast break anyways. Well, it's like the single play so far. That and I guess the Tatum drive. But now that Zinger's in the game, his pick and roll. Derek White turns it over. Oh, it's Towns taking Tatum to the rim, chat. Towns ties it up in transition. Boston, don't give the game away. Towns with a 34-13. He's held his own. Again, you just assume Jaylen Brown and the Hauser rolls a little bit better, but now Porzingis driving to the rim. I mean, just every time, chat, the pick and roll, the big man is just getting to the rim. They're finding him on the roll. I mean, it was Towns in that deflection, honestly, that led to that fast break. So that's about his only way to play these, is to just really hope that he's elite in getting those deflections, because, again, Porzingis and then Cornette before that. But Porzingis, you don't think of him as more athletic than Cornette, but he's just getting more space behind. Did Doncic just get thrown out? What just happened, chat? We got to switch the sound. Doncic's headed to the locker room, but not in an injury-type way. Doncic just got... Oh, did he get 2 T's in the game, chat? Oh, Doncic, Luka! It finally happened. It cost him. It didn't happen in the playoffs first, though, so that's good. If this happened in Game 3, Windhorst and Dallas. Luka's gonna get downgraded to Charlotte after blowing it in LA. But Vanderbilt on the SWAT chat. Can LeBron? It's literally tied 108-108. So I don't know how this helps with the Shea legacy MVP stuff, but LeBron versus Shea to end the season. Here we go, chat. At least LeBron has himself to have a moment. Oh, and Vanderbilt gets a technical. The Lakers are falling apart. Redick's about to get a tech. I think he's just going to prove a point. I'm never a fan of techs, but just do it, chat. Pause. Just rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. Tony Brothers is not having it tonight. Redick, do you think he missed Tony Brothers, chat? You think when he got hired, do you think when he was in conversation with the Lakers, he was like, yeah, but I don't know. I just don't want to have to deal with Tony Brothers anymore. Shout out. Tony Brothers is one of the best in the business, but... But what does best in the business mean for refs, chat? Who knows? Reeves fouled on the other end. Okay, Tony Brothers, he'll give you a call. Like Tony Brothers, he may not always make great calls, but by the end of the day, I feel like, for the most part, the calls will be even. Let's see if that's true, chat. Are they even free throws? The Lakers might. I mean, obviously with LeBron and Luka, there's a chance that is a free throw shooting team. But Che, is that Chet and Shea? Michael Che? I don't know who that player is, chat. Who is Michael Che? No, shout out. But we want to be on Che's good side. So IT, cut that out. Are we live? Let's see. free throw attempts for the game. The Thunder have 16. The Lakers have 27. So yeah, maybe JJ needs to not be so mad at Tony Brothers after all. I guess Lakers free throws right there, chat. So I got 110, 109 on the Sling TV. Or are we on League Pass? What app are we on right now? I got it on the League Pass. The League Pass way behind the ESPN. It is what it is. Caruso for the 3. There it is. I guess we're a basket behind. But Celtics up. Celtics up 3. 16 seconds left in OT. And I guess we just abandoned that game because Luka got thrown out. But it's still close, and I guess the Knicks had a chance. Zinger buries the 3 in Brunson's face. I guess not really in Brunson's face, but over Brunson, and gives the Celtics the 3-point lead. Caruso here, though. The offensive 3 on one end. The defense. Oh, they get him on the foul, chat. He had the strip on Reeves on the drive and had the 3 on the other end. So who was in that? They had Dort earlier, and obviously Dort was, hitting 3. So they take LeBron out, chat. So it's really now up to Austin Reeves. And I mean, the Lakers, again, the season itself is established at this point. They're playing for pride. They're playing for matchups. Luka's out, so are they even playing for pride at this point? I mean, this is still, but if you're the Lakers, this is like emergency level playoff situation you have to be prepared for. Like, Luka could just, detonate at any point, chat. You have to be prepared to be like, hey, if Luka gets 2 techs in a playoff game and we're playing the last 7 minutes against OKC in game 3 without him, what does that look like? So I don't feel like you can totally throw these minutes away and treat them like nothing now that your one of your star players is not out there. But defensively, now they're going to be a little bit smaller. We've got Finney-Smith, Hayes, Vanderbilt, Reeves, and Vincent. So shout out to Reeves. He may as well not pass. Speaking of passing, the ball movement from OKC. Shea to Hartenstein to Caruso. It's Caruso in the 4th. And Dort on Reeves. I mean, Reeves' dribble moves. He looks comfortable. He's shaking Dort. The physicality. He gets the foul. Dort, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and shifty little Austin Reeves, chat. Boom, boom, boom. Right to the free throw line. Oh, Caruso hanging in the air. You forget about the hang time sometimes. It's not, obviously there is a, we can call it what it is, chat. There's a racial thing with some of the white guys in the dunking in the NBA, but I think even more so a bald white guy. I don't know, bald white guy. DM us at REMINGTOM Pod. Is bald white guy more athletic or less athletic? Because maybe he's more athletic. Because you get some guy like, blonde-haired white guy. Like blonde hair, combed-haired white guy. You're not thinking that guy's going to dunk at all in a game. But maybe bald headband white guy, you're actually thinking he is a little bit of an athlete. So who knows? DM us at REMINGTOM Pod. White guy stereotypes for the court. Let us know, what does white guy athlete look like? Well, maybe, who knows, chat. A couple of tats. But I guess white guy. JJ Redick was combed hair white guy tatted up there at the end of his career. And he necessarily, by the end of his career, he was kind of known non-athlete. Athlete earlier in his career, but all for the NBA stuff, he was mostly kind of pivoted into the 3-point shooting role. So Shea on the other, Jalen Williams in transition. The ball's moving around, chat, but Jalen Williams does find it and draws the foul. So the Thunder now, the minute LeBron goes off the court, chat, the Thunder, as you would expect, and again, shout out to Reeves and shout out to the rest of the team, but the Thunder go on a little bit of a run here, and it's now 119 to 112, 111. And somehow there's still 12.6 seconds left in this Boston Knicks game. Are we pausing it when we look away? Do we have eye tracking on for this game and it just stops every time we look over at Lakers Thunder? Because I don't know how there's still time left. I don't know how the Knicks still have a chance. But Holiday's at the line here. Okay, he could make this a 4-point game. Make this real tough. And there it is, chat. 4-point game, 12.6. Still not over. You're going to need 2 shots anyway, so 4 to 5. What's the difference? I guess a foul call. But either way, the Knicks not going home. Was there some kind of review that I missed? There might have been. So I get maybe LeBron, I don't know where he was at with the minutes there. You don't want to necessarily overexert him again in this type of game. There's going to be more important games potentially against the Thunder to come if we get that play-up matchup, which hopefully we do with the way these matchups have played in the regular season. I mean, is there a playoff matchup that we would want more than that one, chat? Maybe stay tuned. Friday we'll be talking about what playoff matchups we want to see the most. But, I mean, Lakers Thunder has got to be right at the top of the list, chat. The regular season matchups have been great with Luka Doncic both times. We know that Luka is a playoff mismatch, a matchup mismatch for the Thunder. And LeBron with the legacy stuff to add that on top of Shea and the MVP stuff. There's a lot of fun storylines and a lot of fun team stuff that makes that and is going to make this a really fun series if we end up getting that, hopefully. But you don't want to necessarily overexert him here, but I just feel like you knew the minute that you subbed him out without Luka what was going to happen in this game. And it's a credit to how good OKC is. But, do you want to just necessarily give away an important win like this against a team that you could take a lot of pride in winning against? But either way, still, 8-point game, LeBron and Reeves, you never know. They can make the comeback. But I would just assume the Thunder without, because it would be Luka's one-on-one ability at the end of this game that 2 or 3 possessions in a row they would score, and that would make him come back. And again, it's not saying that LeBron can't make a comeback at this point in his career, chat, but we know where the hierarchy is between him and Luka, and it's really, really close, and it's game to game at times. But the offense, possession to possession stuff is, and like we're saying, the Luka mismatch against OKC, it's just a better attack. So Anunoby gets to the rim, I guess, makes it a 3-point game. Holiday's going to dribble it out. Oh, they foul him. So Holiday can make it a 5-point game here. 5 seconds left. The Knicks, you got to give them credit. They're trying to win right now more than the Lakers, it looks like. And, they're, I guess, a little bit closer to the Celtics in the standings and all that stuff. Where they're 8 games behind, so they're not going to catch them in terms of the 2 seed. But they are 2 games up on the Pacers for the 3 seed, so they don't want to drop that. And the Pacers, did they get that win against the Wizards tonight? Are the Wizards randomly helping out the Knicks? Washington once again bailing out New York, chat? Oh, it didn't happen. Indiana got the win. 104-98. Great second half, I guess, from the Pacers. I guess the Wizards remembered that they were going for Cooper Flag. 32-25, Pacers outscored them in the fourth quarter. Big second quarter as well, too. But I guess good game from Sarr. 20, 12, and 6. 8 for 17 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. But love to see it, chat. A lot of Sarr stock as well, too, of course. But there we go. Celtics finally get the win. Golden State's up 22-12 right now. But even without Jaylen Brown, taking it to overtime, grinding it out. Pat Bev, courtside, giving Tatum some, hey, Pat Bev, I feel like giving himself NBA, Jedi status. And it's like, how many All-Stars you have to make to, be at a certain talk to the guy after the court pedigree. But hey, I'm not going to be the guy that makes the rules. LeBron driving. There we go, Chad. So, yeah, only down 8, back down 6. LeBron's just trying to make it more dramatic for himself. He's just trying to make sure that the storylines for him are undeniable at this point. He's like, hey, made an 8-point comeback against the Thunder. Shea settles for the 3. See, there's just times that he'll do that, chat. And not that Jokic has obviously never made a mistake in his career or this season. And Reeves, the patience drawing fouls. Again, no Luka. But if Reeves is going to attack and draw fouls at this rate, I mean, I don't know if Luka could draw more fouls than Reeves is drawing right now. Oh, that's a close one, chat. Case and Wallace didn't necessarily. Oh, Hartenstein got a massive swat on LeBron. That I think they ended up calling a block. Maybe. Or a foul. I don't know. I guess we were looking at either Celtics, Knicks for that one, or we were checking this Wizards-Pacers box score when that happened. If we were checking the Wizards-Pacers box score when Hartenstein swatted LeBron, then it's a conspiracy, chat. The league somehow got us to do it. I don't know what happened. Did everybody check their phone at that time? DMS at REMINGTOM Pod, did you check your phone when Hartenstein swatted LeBron? What happened? Did they somehow program it subconsciously in our minds? Now it's Jalen Williams, and he's attacking Reeves. Oh! He doesn't get the little up and under to go, but able to tip in his own offensive rebound. Clutch, chat. Up 7. That was a big make. But the one-on-one possessions there for... Oh, great defense from Dort. Dort just bullies LeBron. Dort bullies LeBron. The ball's out of bounds. So shout out to Reeves. Reeves could withstand Dort. Pause, and LeBron couldn't. Yikes. 18 turnovers for the Lakers. 6 for OKC. And we remember that last game as well, too. The Lakers were like 12 for 15 at one point from 3. So I don't think they've necessarily done that tonight. And if you're going to have that kind of high level performance, it's going to make sense why the margin of victory was where it was at in the last game. And Shea with the midi. There it is, chat. There it is. That's the Shea right there. So who knows what this game will play like into the MVP storylines. I don't know. I think this was an MVP game in a way for Shea, for sure. Like, great way to close it out here. But like we're saying, it mattered that I think Luka got thrown out and they sub LeBron out. You can't necessarily take away from Shea. I guess Shea's at 42, chat. What are we going to complain that Shea put up 42? But it is just an interesting little thing that happened at the end of the game. 15-3 run. Oh, and just the way they've turned up the defense here. Case and Wallace, Dort, Jalen, Shea, and Hartenstein. So they did end up closing the game, like we were saying, without Chet. That could be very interesting come playoff time if these teams match up. No Chet in the finals. And they end up going just straight up Dort at the 4 as well, too. And the fact that Dort was able to hold up against LeBron. Oh, they did get away with being really physical there, but it's going to happen at times. But we were saying, do they go Kendrick Williams at the 4? But just Dort at the 4. I guess ball don't lie, chat. They missed the free throw on the other end. They got the and one on the fast break. And LeBron just passed out to Finney Smith for 3. That's just kind of a bailout for LeBron, honestly. Finney Smith, shout out. But what are we doing here? Down 12. But, yeah, we were like, who do they go at the 4? But if you just go Dort at the 4, and then Jalen Williams, Shea, and then now you're able to play Case and Wallace at guard. And Case and Wallace is a better basketball player than Kendrick Williams. So, and so is Dort. But is Dort a better 4? But he is, chat. If you can get away with him playing against... And no Luka as well, too, like we're saying. Does that affect the size matchup where his switchability is going to be able to punish this team in a different way? But no Chet is definitely, I think, the notice from tonight. Because, again, I don't think they were able to close the game in the same way. I have to go back. I don't think we were as locked into the end of that game because, of course, the Paige Beckers was playing in the national championship game. Gino, UConn, Don Staley. There were some other primetime activities going on. But with the way the score was, we weren't able to get a good look of the closing lineups in the same way. Jalen on Finney Smith this time. And they got Reeves on Dort. So they go with and Jalen Williams just gets the bucket anyways. But if they're going to hunt Reeves and switches, that's going to be an interesting thing in the playoffs. What do you do with him defensively? There's not really much you can do at this point because his offense is just too valuable for this team. And you just need him out there. But 2.5 left. He'll get more foul calls when he's at home as well, too. Not that they didn't get plenty of foul calls over the course of this game. But maybe in the end of game moments, some of these physical plays will go more for the Lakers' way if the refs get a little more whistly. So now Vanderbilt pulls out the physicality. Is Vanderbilt trying to get ejected too? He wants to go check his phone in the locker room early. Game's over. He says, I'm done. Time to check out. So they threw Luka out, but Vanderbilt was like yelling, almost pushing the ref, and he doesn't get thrown out. And like tackling Jalen Williams just mid-dribble just because. Wrapping him up around the shoulders as well, too. Are they going to review this for a flagrant? I'm not saying this is a flagrant. 90s basketball, chat. This is just good old defense. But it's like a unnecessary roughness. Any contact to the head or neck, I feel like you're going to go and review. Why are you wrapping him up around the shoulders, chat? He's dipping it lowering for the drive. So maybe you're going more torso. But I guess he didn't do it in front of Tony Brothers' paws, so. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo. So very quick review, Tony Brothers. Yep. Yep. Unnecessary head or neck. They're just going to get him one flagrant, so I guess he stays in the game. But, 2 shots in possession, if it's not already bad, it's going to get worse. Steph's got 13 tonight already in the first quarter, chat. I mean, if we don't get star players. I mean, the Spurs are about to play against the Clippers. Is Harrison Barnes going to have an awesome game? Like, it feels like it's just something's in the air, chat. These players are inspired by March Madness. Kawhi Leonard, I guess they haven't made a decision on him yet. Oh, rest? Doubtful? Yeah, Chet, even in LA, he can't face the Spurs. He can't look us in the eye. No, I think Kawhi, if we can't pull up the stats with Kawhi versus the Spurs. It's, of course, the Kawhi Spurs thing is painful, but then his revenge games against the Spurs also very, very painful to remind us how good of a player he is. But at least tonight, maybe, we won't have to worry about that. It doesn't matter. Norm Powell, Harden, they're 12.5-point favorites. So do we watch our team just get slaughtered in the second half, or do we throw on Tubi, chat? Who knows? We'll just have to see if that game ends up being close. But both teams waved the white flag. The subs are in. LeBron goes back to the bench one last time. This time, definitely the game is over. But shout out to OKC for getting the win. So now the series is split 1-1. Lakers, Thunder. And both of those games were in OKC, so that was very playoff vibesy. The little mini 2 games we got here between these two teams. That was very early playoffs. It was split 1-1. It felt like when Luka was in the game and Wiggins gets a bucket of... Oh, no, that's Kendrick Williams, chat. Shout out. Getting a bucket to go. I was going to say, Wiggins getting a little momentum here when the game is out of hand. Thunder now up 20. Of course, a different up 20. Lakers getting up 20 earlier. Thunder getting up 20 later. We just can't have Billy Buckets winning a title before us, chat. Winning an NBA title before us, before Victor Wembanyama. Shea's going to take this team to a title. It's just unfair. But then he's got the Bears, so, it all balances out. But there we go, chat. The Rim and Sand Marathon, 5 days in a row. We did it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll still be back this weekend, of course. The normal Rim and Sam schedule now that March Madness is wrapped up. But then the NBA playoffs right up around the corner, and, we're here, chat. We're live. We're going crazy. We'll just any excuse to watch games, chat. We'll take it. It's not a long conversation to talk me into watching these NBA games, especially if they are this awesome. But, we'll be here on the YouTube live, of course. You can catch us here on the podcast streams, podcast platforms as well, too. The streams go up there, and we're on the social feeds, as we mentioned, throughout at the Rim and Sam Pod. So thank you guys for jumping on tonight, and we will see you guys later this week.